Okay, we're going to call this October 14th monthly business meeting to order. Was there anyone who'd like to lead us? You betcha. Okay. Let's see. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any revisions to the agenda? Great, so we'll move into D, which is public comments. This item is the appropriate place to take comments about an item not on the agenda, but within the board's jurisdiction. Each action item on the agenda has its own public comment period. In order to protect individual rights of privacy, avoid comments that identify students or staff members. Additionally, public comment cannot be used to make comments regarding contested cases, grievances, or legal proceedings. Due to open meeting laws, the board cannot respond in any way to comments made during the public comment period. So that essentially means that we cannot answer questions or respond. So we do, it looks like have one public comments. Would you like to come up? It's I don't know if I, yes, right there.
Got it.
I'll let you introduce yourself.
Sure. Yeah, and actually I have a letter. My name is Robin Fioni. And I'm just a Whitefish resident. I shouldn't say just.
Yeah.
I am a strong Whitefish resident. Good.
I'll just say that your letter is, it's already on our back.
Yeah, but it wasn't attached to the handout, so that's why I'm giving you a handout.
Well, it is actually.
It's-
a packet.
It's not a public correspondence.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right there.
that's well, sorry.
There you go.
All right. Yeah, so, yeah, I just wanted to comment on two things, the Whitefish High School expansion project and also school bus transportation. So I feel like these comments I'm going to make will make our schools healthier and also use our tax dollars wisely. Last month, I attended the community meeting where A&E Architects presented their latest design of the high school expansion project. It was really a great meeting. And what was frequently mentioned was the goal to be future-proof. So I'm asking for you to help guide the expansion project design to incorporate non-fossil fuel energy systems, which is future-forward thinking. This will not only protect against unpredictable prices, spikes of fossil fuels, but it'll also eliminate harmful emissions in the schools, possible gas leaks and pollution. Using clean tech energy will provide a healthier and safer environment for students for years to come. So I've identified 3 areas for the high school expansion project to install heat pump, air conditioning, and heating instead of gas boiler and separate AC. So heat pumps are both an air conditioner and a heating system. They're 2-in-1, and they use less energy because they are so efficient. So I'm asking if you could support installing heat pumps for both heating and cooling instead of gas heating and a separate air conditioning system. The second item is to install induction cooking in the teaching kitchens. So gas stoves emit pollutants, which is, especially a concern for children or young students. Induction cooking is safer because it is actually flameless, and it is remarkable. It heats the pan and not the surface. It's very safe. It also doesn't heat up your kitchen, so it's easier to manage indoor climate. So yeah, please consider installing induction cooktops in the culinary arts teaching kitchens. Also plan for future solar energy. Though the expansion project does not include solar panels, being future ready for solar will save expenses down the road. Rooftop solar can save thousands of dollars a year by generating electricity from the free sunshine. So plan roof angles and structures to be solar panel ready. So now I'd like to talk about the school bus transportation. On October 6th, Montana Department of Environmental Quality announced the Clean Truck Bus and Airport Equipment Program. So it provides funds to replace older diesel fuel buses with electric buses. In my letter, I have a link to the program details. Something to note is that the deadline to apply is early December. And the Montana DEQ will be very happy to help with applications. So several school districts in Montana now operate electric school buses with success. These are the ones I know about. I think there could possibly be others. Big Fork School District 38, Billings Public Schools, Clinton School District 32, East Helena Public Schools, Fairfield Public Schools, and Havre Public Schools. Some of the many benefits of electric school buses is it protects the students and drivers' lungs because there is no harmful diesel exhaust. It protects the hearing of students and drivers with quiet electric motor operation. It reduces maintenance costs. There's less wear on brakes because of the regenerative braking, no exhaust system, and no oil changes. And it also makes budgeting more accurate by eliminating the price and certainty of diesel fuel. So these are my suggestions for the high school expansion project and the school bus transportation. Thank you for listening.
You. We will, thank you, move on to E, which is the public correspondence. We all have, whether in that, so we have the two with you. And now F, which is the approval of minutes for September. We have to do any public comment on it? Okay, so back to the board for a motion on the September 2025 minutes. I'll move to approve. Second. Wait, moved by Casey, seconded by Quincy. All those in favor? Okay. Moving into the student trustee report with Carmella. You're up.
Right. I'll start with the high school. Lots have been going on since the last board meeting. Seniors have ordered their caps and gowns and are getting ready for graduation. Seniors participated also in an activity with members from the city of Whitefish related to the Vision Whitefish 2024. The purpose is to guide our community through growth and change for the next 20 years. On their phones the members of the city of Whitefish gave the seniors a survey on their phone, which gave real-time feedback on where they spend their time outside of school, on the digital map of Whitefish, and various questions regarding the livelihood of students at Whitefish High School and how it is living in the city. Homecoming was also, in my opinion, a great success. The bonfire was successful. The homecoming dance made a new record of attendance, which was roughly around 350 students. Spirit Week was fun and very interactive, and the pep rally was awesome. PIR Day has happened recently. It is set on the last Monday of September. Some activities included the 17 different sessions pertaining to specific age group and content areas. There was a district-wide focus, which was teacher clarity, and optional sessions like AI education, Indian education for all, career and technical ed, AP breakout, co-teaching, and the use of digital tools in support of students writing research papers used by the library. Some events and meetings that have been taking place, like the financial ignite for seniors and parents. Juniors and sophomore are preparing for the PSAT, which was an informational meeting during base camp. There's 150 students between the two that signed up. A NASA presentation at the high school took place in the black box this Monday, where students can sign up to talk to a real astronaut. Veterans Assembly is coming up on November 11th, arranged by the student council, and they prepare an assembly held in the gym. It is an infamous long-standing tradition that honors veterans and their families, and there's no different. Clubs like Drama Club have been up and running. A production of Midsummer Night's Dream is in the works, led by supervisor April Williams. DECA is also coming to a start, Distributive Education Clubs of America. The first meeting is on the 20th, and they'll be going over content, teams and initiative, and Missoula information, as well as helping the freshmen have a good understanding of what DECA is all about. Sports and activities are coming to a wrap, and football team and volleyball team are coming to the end of their season, but tournaments are starting, so that's exciting. And I'll go into Vivian's write-up for the middle school. 7th grade students attended Glacier Park field trips for September and October. They went in small groups to learn more intimately about specific areas of the park, led by rangers. The entire 6th grade took a walking field trip to the Whitefish Airport. They received a half day of instruction from the Air National Guard on air pressure and its relevance to flight, as well as lessons on the atmospheric layer. Students also had an opportunity to view a plane and a drone to enhance their understanding of these concepts. Whitefish Middle School Student Council members have been elected for the 7th and 8th graders, and they helped organize spirit days, upcoming dances, and other events. They recently had a picture day, a contained drill, and participated in the homecoming spirit week with the high school, which they showed great participation. Fall activities for middle school are also coming to a wrap. The football team enjoyed many victories home and away. Volleyball teams achieved great success, and cross country competed in the Mountain West race, girls placing 3rd out of 29 teams, and boys placed 3rd as well out of 25 teams. One runner from the girls team placed top 25, and 2 runners placed top 10 for the boys. One of our middle school members receiving 1st place. Catch of the Day is also new and starting up. It's a positive way to reward students portraying good behavior and honoring Whitefish Middle School rules, which are showing kindness and respect. A drawing is placed each week to reward these behaviors to students of Whitefish. And this is Lavena's on the elementary school. Students are finishing the beginning of year iReady and M-Class reading tests. They are looking to start the M-Class math diagnostic to help with math interventions in title. 3rd and 4th graders are gearing up for the state MAST test in math and reading, which will start very soon. Gearing up for the holidays, Moldown is turning orange and black. Halloween is coming up, which means students are anticipating the annual Halloween parade on Friday. And Moldown has recently finished Arts with Masters, which community members come down to Moldown and teach art lessons to the students. This is always a fun event where students can create amazing art pieces. A huge thank you to Lauren Bradley and those who gave their time to the students.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Really good. Anybody have any question? I was at the growth policy city council and the high school students there were, they had great opinions. They weren't afraid to speak out. Yeah, so it was cool to see the high school kids were there. So I did say we have better snacks.
That's good. I know they do have snacks. That's quite a lot.
Yeah, I did, yeah, so their ours are. I told the high schoolers, they still didn't come. I was like. Okay, so we'll move on to a WEAWCE report.
Hi, everybody. Couple things. So happy October. Get to celebrate shoulder season. Okay, that feels really nice. And there's some really good news. So November 1st is a Saturday.
Oh,
And all that entails for teachers, right? That doesn't happen very often, right? So that's really important. Yeah, like the day after Halloween is brutal. Elementary. Yeah, that's rough. One thing I just wanted to reiterate, thank Lisa for the PIR day on the 29th. one of the sessions that was especially informative was Indian Education for All. And just seeing how many resources have been built in that area for all grade levels is really helpful for teachers. So I think there's quite a lot of people who have a lot more understanding of what they could lean on. All kinds of media, lesson plans, videos, content areas, so that is very helpful. But mostly what I want to share with you guys today is that there's a plan for in the works, pretty far into the works for Mr. Means and Ms. Crum. Welcome, Ms. Crum. And Eden and myself to go around to each of the staff meetings on the first Wednesday in November, which I think is the 5th. And just start to communicate with each of the buildings with a really strong focus on clarity and on our best practice in communication. So that's really kind of what we're up to, but how we're going to approach that. And we've already started. We started by meeting yesterday for the first time. And we're starting with cleaning up a lot of documents that have to do with channels of communication, what committee is responsible for what tasks. Especially because some committees can be joined by anybody, some are by appointment, some are going to be much more structured than they've been in the past. And just to make sure that that piece is really clear to teachers and to our classified staff. And really, this is the why about the reason we're doing this is to figure out how to help staff navigate all those different pieces, because there's our contracts, there's policy, there's labor management laws, there's investment committees, there's calendar stuff. There's so much going on. It's hard to know where do I find X, Y, and Z. And really, the other why is to overall improve the culture of our relationships in our buildings, so that there's clarity for everybody involved, whether that is, your people working in our food service and working with kids at lunch, to crossing guards, to teachers, to our office secretaries, and working with our administrators. And then hopefully that helps you guys have more clarity about what all of us are up to. So, any questions?
Questions?
Yes, I would just also add, because I know that you're involved with student council as well. Congratulations on the homecoming game. I recall you guys are involved with that quite a bit, so.
Yeah, there's actually, can I just brag a little?
Go ahead.
Okay. So, and we have a pretty fun video because the theme was Footloose, which was adorable.
Yeah.
So we hired a professional dance teacher to teach the students the line dancing, but especially the Footloose line dance. And everybody did it. Like, right? Like, I'm not exaggerating. Like, so the entire lower part of the cafeteria, all the furniture is gone. 300 some students, like they were still coming in the door. But so I have a really fun video of the dance if anybody's really dying to see it. Super fun. Yeah. It was good because we, homecoming week's really expensive, but we made back what we needed to. So that was pretty great. Thanks. All right, any other? What's that?
No, thank you.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. All right, thanks.
All right, so Mr. Bloom, we're moving to our discussion and action items, and we'll start with the teacher clarity highlights.
Greetings from the curriculum department. You have heard from a couple of people already about Whitefish School District's Professional Development Day on Monday, the 29th. And you've also heard a kind of a theme, this whole theme of clarity. That's our word for the year. Across, I think, all domains, whether it be with teachers, with administrators, with students, we're all about clarity this year. We were lucky enough to be able to have Dr. Sanja Hollins Alexandra come to us from Atlanta, Georgia. She works with Corwin, which is a company out of California. And she came and spent the day with us and worked with each building and gave an overview basically of what teacher clarity is. You have that handout, I think, in your board packet. That day is a big day because it's our one professional development day for our staff. And so that was a big piece of it. As Adrian shared, we had also a number of other pieces. Because it's important that we look at our district strategic plan and provide professional development to our staff in relation to what's in our district strategic plan. So when I looked back at those 17 sessions that we shared with staff, most of them really relied on two areas of that district strategic plan. One was that students will improve academically each year and that our schools will be safe, inclusive, and welcoming. We also have our district PD committee that gives us input. We have staff that gives us input and administrators that give us input. So that's how that whole day comes about. As I shared with you earlier, the highlight was teacher clarity. And the whole premise behind teacher clarity is that it's important that we ensure our educators are clearly understanding the concepts and the skills that they need to teach within a given standard in their respective content areas. And that once those skills and concepts are clearly identified, they can be mapped across learning progressions, which really form the foundation of personalized learning. And personalized learning, as you know, is a key initiative from the state of Montana. Our next step is that we're going to bring together our K-12 PLC representatives for English language arts and math. We do have some, although we've identified priority standards in each content and grade level, we haven't vertically aligned them. And so we're going to look at a sample from another school district that has K-12 standards that are vertically aligned. We're going to take a look at those. We're going to ensure that we understand the learning intentions, learning progressions, and success criteria. And then we're going to share those out to our PLC teams and really talk about that so that we get an understanding of what our work is, where we're going with our work, and what really drives our instruction in Whitefish School District. So that kind of gives you an idea of where we're headed. Questions?
I just wanted to say that in our 2-on-1s, Dave mentioned that it was just a really great PIR day. And that there were so many sessions offered and that they were all aligned with the strategic plan. And it sounds like it was a big lift to have all of these sessions going and all of these guests coming. Congratulations. That's off to teachers and everybody who made out of that. Very cool. Another thing that got brought up in our 2-on-1s is that there's a training that you're traveling to San Diego.
It is. So there is a teacher clarity conference.
Cool.
And we in February, the end of February in San Diego, we'd like to take a team of administrators and teachers so that we can continue the next steps. Our teacher clarity implementation plan is really a 2-year plan. It's a big lift to try to get everybody on board in a year. So we're trying to do this the right way, not pushing, not rushing, but being very deliberate and making sure we have clarity about what we're doing every step of the way, and that staff hear that as well.
It also seems really responsive to the surveys, right, that we did last year that were asking for the why. It seems really strategic. So good job.
Thank you.
You know, are there any other districts who are doing this as well?
Yes, Missoula is.
Are they in the same path as, are they?
They are ahead of us,
Okay.
actually.
They're about 1/3 here.
Oh, well.
Mhm.
That's helpful.
And you can ask them,
They are.
yeah,
Very much.
what should we
Mhm.
sidestep?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And others are doing similar types of work, but specifically with Quorum Week. So and I think some of the schools around that area. Well, I'm not sure that which ones.
Have you been able to talk with Lizelle a little
A
about?
little
Yeah,
bit, mhm.
So, cool.
They've been a great resource for us.
Any other questions? Cool. It explains it very well.
Yes.
It's, you know,
It's very clear.
I've heard it, yeah.
Clarity.
Clarity.
I love that word.
Okay,
I'm just gonna stay here.
yeah. Oh, yeah, you're up still. Okay, so now we're doing the WHS advanced placement data.
Yes, so last month, as you recall, was our end of the year data report for the 24-25 school year. And at the time, I shared advanced placement results for the 24-25 school year. It was requested that you'd like to see the historical data for AP and the AP classes. And that's been interesting to find advanced placement. Every company gives different permission sets, and sometimes it can be very difficult to get them. And when counselors move on and new people take places, and sometimes that data doesn't change hands, and we have some turnover there. But I think we're on the right track, and I think we have the historical data now from the last 5 years, and we have a plan in place to continue that from here on out. So if you will notice in the slide deck, I just wanted to highlight a few things. One is that it's been the last 2 years that we've actually required our AP students to take AP tests. So you will see a huge increase in the amount of students that are taking the test. With the amount of students taking the test, I will highlight that we have more students that are scoring in the range of 3 or higher than we've ever had. So in 2021, we only had 47 students, and last year we had 165. Speaks volumes to our AP classes, right? And our AP teachers. The total number of students, although that's kind of fluctuated within the classes of which classes have scored 3, it reached a high of 88% in 2025. So again, we see, even though it depends on the classes, that we see a huge increase in those the number of students and how well they're scoring on those tests. They're doing very well. I went through and we took a look at incrementally each class. And although you'll see that some classes maybe didn't score as well as others, when you look at it against the 5-year historical data, you will see a steady increase. So every year our students have been increasing that score in that content area. And I wanted to mention that there's an error in AP US history. Sometimes I get distracted or interrupted and I make an error, but year 5 in AP US history, 100% of students scored 3 or higher. So I wanted to make sure that I shared that with you. Overall, I think we're pretty excited about that. I think last time I shared with you that the AP physics test, we had students last year take it even though we didn't have an AP physics class. And they didn't have the materials. This year they have the materials. It is an AP class. So we expect that score to go up. We know that our calculus and our statistics classes are not the scores that we want to have. We would like to see higher. But if you look at that against the 5-year historical data, there's a steady increase. So we're on the right trajectory there. Questions about any of that?
So, okay, I'm curious, just. There were 187 students that took any AP classes, so some could have taken 2 or 3 or 4.
Yes,
5.
there, that was the total. Mhm.
So. So the 165 that had scores of 3+ or higher. Is out of the 187, but not out of the 370 exams.
Right.
And then. Seems like data that would have been helpful over the last 5 years, just, I mean, it's great to have it now, was, I was just wondering. It just wasn't considered before, or?
Rainey, the company, it's really hard to get so
Like you said in the beginning.
yeah, it's difficult to get the data, like, unlike iReady, where I'm a district administrator and I have access to all of the data, it's not that way with AP. It's confined solely to the site. Yeah,
Was it like a HIPAA thing?
it's very interesting how, and matter of fact, Dave and I talked about it. So when I contacted the college board and I said, I would like to get access to this. They had to verify that Dave was a superintendent and send him a DocuSign so that he could allow me to get the data. And we have to do that every year from here on out.
But
It's
from
just
here on out,
crazy.
we can look at it.
Yeah, from here on out, we can look at it. And then, we had some counselors that retired, and then, yeah, there was a changing of the guard in regards to who was doing what roles, and
I think it's complicated to look at that. And my understanding
Yes.
too is they just learned that you could look at it for 5 years.
Uh-huh.
So that's new information from what I understand. So, but interestingly enough, the two that I have not received that email or that, so to this day. So we're gonna keep working on it. It kind of highlights how difficult it is for us to
I called them
access
like
this
3
data.
times.
Thanks for persevering.
It is such cool information to have as part of our public meeting because it's so much to celebrate.
Yeah.
I mean, this level of growth is insane, from 59 students to 187. That's really impressive.
That's good.
Way to go, students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way to go, teachers.
Yeah.
That's like really a lot to celebrate.
Yes, and how well our students are doing.
They're thriving, and that they have the confidence to attack challenging and rigorous course with the support to do well in it. It's something really cool.
Yeah.
So thank you for bringing it to our attention. Much appreciated.
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're moving on to C, which is the Nate Shoot Health and Wellness Grant Update with Mr. Means and Brad Ray.
Yeah, I wanted to thank Brad Ray for joining us. He's the executive director for Nate Shoe. Coming tonight. Or the gentleman, don't push down.
I will not.
My guest is sensitive.
But I'm excited. He's going to give us a little update on that wellness, mental health and wellness grant that we've been working on together with Nate Shoe, and it came through the school services in Montana. So we just kind of highlight some of the work that's being done there. And so thank you for being here.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, and so you have all the reports for what we've been doing in the Whitefish School District. It really involves a highlight of the happiness for educators. That was a cohort that is brought to us from the University of Montana, Dr. John Summers and Rita Summers Flanagan. We historically have offered a cohort of one group of about 30 people. This year, because of SSOM, we offered a second group, and we opened those up for free for Whitefish educators that wanted to attend. We also, and I actually have a book here, I'm going to leave some journals. Part of it is teaching people, adults and kids, how to be grateful, how to savor gratitude, how to find glimmers in your day. And the idea is with the journaling is A lot of times when you're struggling with something and you go to a mental health service provider and they'll say, you should start journaling. And if that's the case, the first things you start writing down are the things you're struggling with. So the idea is, how do you get ahead of that and start writing down the things for which you're grateful, for the things for that you get you up in the morning, for the things that make you glad that you put your head on the pillow at night and can get up the next day. And so how do we do that? And there's a lot of science around that. And it's an evidence-informed practice called happiness. We also were able to bring that same level of education to the schools, the kids. So we do happiness for students. We do it in middle and high school. In the county, in the entire county, we did the same for SOS, which is signs of suicide. That really is kind of our bread and butter, is teaching kids to identify trusted adults when they're struggling with mental health, to have people to talk to process with, to find resources. So we were able to bring all of those on a continual basis here through the city as well as throughout the county. And then there are a few other things that we're looking to do. Part of this is we'll bring some very specific learning opportunities for parents and teachers here in Whitefish that we're right now planning to do. Some would involve like anxiety with schools, social media, using your cell phones inappropriately or appropriately, and how to like create some of those additional tools to plan out. Again, all of that is in your packet. And the one biggest piece of this that we're very proud of, we're in year one of our 3-year strategic plan that will wrap us up in 2028. I can't believe we're 2 months away from the first year, but we've created what's now called the People in Need of Services program. And the design is to have someone who, when you're struggling as a kid or a parent, to reach out to this one person. And we know all the therapists. We have a resource directory of who's available, who's an expert at certain things. And you could come to us and we can not only knock those barriers down, whether it's financial barriers, transportation barriers, other barriers, but we can also coordinate that care throughout. So if you miss a session, we can check in on you and say, hey, Lucy, why'd you miss that? Or if the session went great, we can reach out and say, hey, Quincy, it sounds like you had a session today. We just wanted to follow up. Is there anything we can do to help? The idea is that a lot of times when you're struggling with mental health, you feel alone and you feel disconnected. And the last thing you want to do when you're struggling with that is to fill out a bunch of forms and to wait for phone calls and return calls. We've created this program to have a sustainability long-term, that if you're struggling, we can be a resource to get you where you need to go and to continue to provide those supports and services. So along the way, as you have hiccups, as we all do as humans, that there's someone there to say it's okay. And so we hired this person 2 months ago, and right now we're working on creating protocols with the major agencies within the county to identify how we can all work together to triage, meet together every month, talk about these cases to make sure that they're connected to all of the services, that silos are now broken down. So I think that's pretty much it. I'll leave our Your Matter stickers, I'll leave our 98 stickers and magnets in the back, and an overview of all of the programs and services that Nation Foundation offers in the back if anyone wants them. Any questions?
I just was gonna ask, so just
Yes.
to clarify, because you mentioned countywide stuff, which is
Uh-huh.
awesome. So as far as like the happiness for 6th and happiness for 9th and SOS, is it like, are all middle school and high schools in the county getting, like, throughout, everyone's getting that? Our enrollment numbers always show how much people intermix in our valley.
Yes.
So it's nice to know that they're all getting the same thing.
Yeah, very much so. In fact, one of our strategic plans, priority one, is that we want to make it so that at an age appropriate level, we're ensuring that there are services and conversations and trainings being provided around mental services. Because one of the things we know is we do S&S at 6th and 9th grade, but when you get to 11th grade, maybe someone's doing something else around this and you're like, I've never heard of this before. We're going to thread the needle so that eventually from the time you get out of your socio-emotional kind of stages in elementary school, that there is an intervention, a training at every level, at age appropriate level, so that the conversation becomes very normalized and isn't jarring. We do this throughout the county. Every district is doing things a little differently. We've been bringing Jed Foundation to the Valley. This is our first year into that. It's an evidence-based program out of New York that is about as old as we are, 25 years. There are 2 high schools in Kalispell that are doing that now. it's a 3-year plan. Our goal is to bring this everywhere, and every different system has a different reason why it's going to make sense at some point to integrate this. So, and then we work with different school, like Evergreen is a very different type of school system than Kalispell, than is Columbia Falls, than is Big Fork. So with each one, we have this uniform thread of training, but with each one, we are very intentional in ensuring that the communities can identify what they need, because every community, even in a county of 5,000 people, is very different. I'm from Florida, where I've never seen this many school districts in my entire life. And it's very complicated. So we're very mindful that although we're providing consistent support and consistent training, that we're also customizing it to meet the needs of the schools.
Thank you for saying that.
Sure.
Yeah, I just want to tag on to that.
Yeah,
that
Kate.
We learned one thing during the pandemic and the 2021 crisis. It was that what happens in one school affects what happens
Yeah.
in all the others. And we also learned how interconnected all this really are. Like they all know each other, even at local grade school.
Yes.
So I also wanted to thank you because at that time you really helped our students establish the student outreach committee, which
Yeah.
was absolutely critical. And I think a really important part of that was the training. And I was curious if QPR, which was question, persuade, response,
Mhm.
what I heard is that students aren't old enough to do it anymore. So is SO science of
Science
the
of-
new QPR, or how does that work?
There's always some shiny new object. What we're trying, QPR and SOS are really kind of the two statewide identified suicide reduction trainings that are certified for these age groups. SOS is something that's interesting about SOS that we're looking into right now is SOS actually offers tiered up trainings from 5th or 6th grade all the way up to seniors. And so one of the things we're looking at now is how can, instead of like right now we bring YAM to high schools and we have SOS and we have happiness, and what we're trying to, how can we maybe just bring SOS into every grade level? So even though the interactions may change, even though the level of maturity and expectations may change, you can look back and see, oh, I learned that in 6th grade, or I learned that in 9th grade. And even though the escalation for the maturity level we anticipate that will be needed for that, the answer is, yeah, it'll be consistent throughout. And like you said, the youth consortiums, we just had our youth summit, which is our 2nd year. Last year we had 40 participants. This year we had 118. The school systems, all the youth from all around the county came together. And as you say, Evergreen is very different than Whitefish, is very different than Big Fork, but what connects us all is our youth. Because the kid that goes to school here plays soccer in Columbia Falls and goes to see his therapist in Kalispell, and they're all so connected. And we can honor the differences that the school districts have and still be very mindful of the connectedness these kids have within the community that they operate. And no one in this county is an island. And how do we make sure we're connecting that and make them recognize their uniqueness and also still recognize their connectedness around the county?
The thing that I wanted to say just really quickly was thank you because you train these kids when they're here. But then the cool thing is when they go to college, they still have these skills.
I hope so.
And they're able to inform the people around them. Oh, here's what I learned about mental health first aid. Like, are you gonna do this? So it's really neat that you're kind of infecting everybody in a positive way. And then there's
That is the
skills
goal.
they have for life.
Yeah, well, thank you. That is certainly the goal. And please pick up this kind of stuff, take it to your kids, hand it out. None of this stuff is scary stuff. This is all very happy stuff. And we can talk about the scary, sad stuff, but as long as I think we wrap it around this model of positivity and accessing people's sources of strength, then we can truly like navigate the scary stuff and still build upon the happy. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And yeah, I think it's amazing. And I remember I was a sophomore in high school when the shoot died, and I remember where I was when you hear about it. And so to see kind of what has become of his legacy to me is just mind blowing.
And his parents are still on our board.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, it's really like a grassroots, identifying a problem. And I think he didn't really even talk about it at that time. And so to see where it, has come is pretty amazing. I have a question maybe more for Dave, as far as the 12 staff of the 30, did you feel like that's a pretty good turnout, or when the happiness for educators?
can't recall when we offered that. I think we offered it in the spring. But this
It started in the spring, went through the summer.
went through the summer.
Okay.
So the 12 at that time.
Yeah.
Some,
I
So it's-
will say, though, Elizabeth, we did offer a 90-minute session on the 29th. We
Okay.
offered two, actually, 2 sessions, and then we offered a learn session.
Oh,
PIR.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is the course. That's the 3.
That's the course.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Occurred over the summer.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
yeah, I know.
Yes, it's great.
And that course is typically, if you look at 3 master credit hours, I think it's somewhere around $1,200. And we were able to get it, SOS allowed us to offer it for free to Whitefish. We also have some private funders that allow us to offset that cost. So the rest of the county can attend and get the entire training for 75 or $100. So the idea is that even if it's not free to get 3 master's credit hours for 75 or $100, it's not bad. And it's really a partnership with us and CAPE at University of Montana that offsets that cost here.
Did you guys feel like it's a good spread across the district as far as the educators that took it, like from the schools?
Yeah, I think so.
I know, these are more there.
Yeah, there were a number of people that took advantage of it because they helped them move over on that salary scale.
Oh, there you go. And what we did, John has started, Dr. Summers Flanagan has started testing it. It's in the evidence informed phase now where they're starting to test it. And one of the things that they have found, interestingly enough, is not only that people feel kind of better about going through the Happiness for Educators, but because more people register for, try to get into the class and actually get into the class, they can do pre and post tests from those who've gone through the cohort and those who haven't. And one of the things he found, across the board with these cohorts is that teachers who go through it on the back end, their depressive symptoms have dropped, their ability to sleep has increased, their headaches have dropped, their fatigue has dropped. So they're moving into the space of trying to turn it into an evidence-based practice, because it's not just having like behavioral changes. People are starting to experience physiological changes in the 2 months it take to do it. Just in how do you refocus and reframe your day in a consistent way versus an episodic way. Hopefully we're going to get John back to do some stuff because he's a great partner in this. He and Rita both are.
I was just gonna comment on that too. So
Yeah.
wrap up those story a little bit, but it just highlights how small this world is. John's a professor at the University of Montana, and so is my dad, so growing up, I knew John. And I used to play on his basketball team. And just, so it's really neat to hear him doing this work, and I think it's really positive work. I was able to attend the session we had on the 29th, and they were relaying some of this information that he's been sharing in the 3 credit course, but also in the sessions he's offered. I think it's outstanding information, like you said, focus on the happy, but also be ready to work on those things that are challenging because of that. So it's neat stuff, and I'm really glad we're bringing that to our educators, but also to our staff in a variety of ways, not just as a course, but also as
Can I just ask one clarifying question? It's on the other handout that you provided, the second one, it's more like the flyer kind of about the Nate Shoots Vessel. I was just curious.
This one?
Yes.
Yeah.
That one,
Yes.
about just generally, it's less education, but just general knowledge.
Yeah.
For the, survivors of suicide loss, is that something people would just reach out to Nate Shute directly? Okay, I
Yeah.
didn't know if that was another. Okay, great.
Yeah, so we actually just got a grant. It was formerly known as HB 118. It's a statewide grant that we just found out we got 2 months ago. And we're going to be able to bring what's called the loss team here.
Okay.
And a loss team, when someone goes out, if someone's died by suicide, we have a Bluebird box that was created by a local person who lost her husband to suicide. It's got resources in it. One of my colleagues has partnered with a few restaurants, so there are $50 gift cards in there for a handful of restaurants. There are tons of blankets and wind chimes and candles and all this stuff. So we bring that out. And part of that is we give a warm handoff and a warm connection to additional support and services in the community. And so we also have the Solace, which is a peer-to-peer facilitated survivors of loss that we're actually partnering with a mental health service provider to provide guardrails around. So the idea is this PINS, People in Need of Services, is going to be an umbrella for all of the services that surround suicide for those who've survived or those who are struggling around those who maybe they've been connected to provide outreach, to provide support and services, to provide a therapeutic space to share their conversations, their concerns, their griefs, their pain, and really to provide this holistic arm wrapped around the approach so that one of the things we know is that someone who is close to someone who's died by suicide is 3 more times more likely
Exactly.
to be a victim. So how can we get ahead of that by having this comprehensive approach? And that what you just described it is our foray. It's the first time we've ever moved into the space of direct services in the last 2 months. But the idea is we have the relationships, we have the resources. What we need is the program to connect all of these things together to ensure that the people who've survived this loss actually have the resources they need to knock down the barriers to get the help when they want it.
Great, thanks for explaining, so I was curious about, yeah,
Yep.
thank you.
It's all in there.
Awesome, thank you so much, thank you.
Thanks, everybody. I'll leave this on the back for anyone who wants stuff.
Yeah, thank you. So we'll move on to D, which is the WHS Expansion Owners Report. Luke?
Is online, so I'm gonna. New loop, it's online.
Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, sorry I couldn't be there in person. I was actually over the weekend on a hiking backpacking trip and tripped and broke a rib. So I'm nursing that currently, a couple days into it. So sorry I couldn't be there, but I am excited to share the October update for the academic and athletic expansion projects. I believe you all have the report in front of you. So starting off with the budget, this is all consistent with previous months, except for the line item for total spent to date. That is currently at 1,094,932 and change, which is roughly 3% of the overall budget. And again, that's mainly design, consulting, and some early work that needed to occur for the project. So that is basically the same at this point. Jumping into the construction GCCM contract status, nothing has changed here. However, we will talk about one item in a minute that will that's already will be starting soon, which will input some figures here as we progress. So I'll talk about that in a minute. Jumping down to the next section for current schedule milestones, these are all consistent as well. Everything is on track as far as the schedule goes from a design perspective and starting construction perspective. So that is all great news. And as we progress, these will continue to be updated, but this is consistent with the past couple months, so nothing major to note there. However, jumping into the key monthly updates, there are a couple key updates from those milestones. The first of which being that A&E Design has completed the 100% DD set of drawings for the academic phase. That was on October 1st. And that is currently in Martell's court for a cost estimate that they're working on. A&E is also in the process of working on the athletic phase 100% DD set, which is on track to complete October 22nd. So a lot of progress there. Those are great milestones to see, and we're really excited to see the cost estimate from that 100% set, which is on track to complete tomorrow, actually, and we've got a meeting scheduled for Monday to review that. So that input will be great as we progress through design for seeing where things are at from a cost perspective. Item number 3, circling back to the GCCM contract, we have our first contract amendment for Martell and their GMP contract. If you remember earlier this year, we executed their contract, which brought them onto the team. But this amendment number 1 is the first amendment to actually add scope and cost into their contract. And this amendment is for the grandstand bleacher design build scope. We will talk about that more in detail here in a minute. It's actually the next agenda item. So that's just a brief capture of something coming up here. And then item number 4, we are actually starting some work on site starting tomorrow, starting Thursday and Friday of this week, which will be some early preparatory scopes to get things ready for mobilization in March. We're taking advantage of school being out Thursday, Friday, and getting ahead of winter for some things like infrastructure and a couple asphalt pathways for student traffic and flow around where temporary fencing and laydown areas will be for the construction team. So that's exciting to actually see something happening, although it's just early preparatory work. It's still actually, equipment and things going on site, which is always fun to see. Jumping down to progress photos, again, these are kind of just some snapshots of some of the things that are happening from month to month. And so this first one is simply just a snapshot of the cover sheet to that 100% set of design documents that A&E has completed. And I know Shane will be, I believe, speaking on this in more detail here in a minute as well. So the visual is just basically an update that occurred and hit the milestone date that we were tracking. And then the next visual you see there is just a highlight of some of that early work that I just talked about. For those, what you see highlighted in the red clouds are the additions to some pathways for traffic, for pedestrians around what will be construction fencing and laydown yards for the construction team, as well as some infrastructure work just to get in advance of the demo work that will occur in March, just so we can be really efficient with the schedule and hit the ground running when they get out there to start the work. So things are starting to progress, and they'll get more meaty, a little bit more substantial here as we get closer. But that is the October update. Any questions from anyone on any of that information? Of course.
Yeah, I think should we just move right into the next agenda?
Perfect.
All right, so we'll move on to E, which is the WHS expansion contract amendment.
Excellent. So as I mentioned earlier briefly, this contract amendment is the first of probably several. At this point, we're tracking 4 contract amendments to loop in all scopes before we actually have everything included in Martell's contract for the project. And this one is for the grandstands and the bleachers, as I mentioned. It is necessary to do early like this because we are bringing on that team member from a design perspective, so that we can have clarity on what those grandstands will look like from a structural perspective, spacing perspective, and integrate with other design team members. And also to start the process so that we can get ahead of ordering and lead times for the materials. The other amendments that will be forthcoming are for other scopes. We've got another one that's actually in the works for the stadium lighting, which is a very similar scope because it's kind of a design build aspect as well. That one is currently in the RFP phase, and we haven't reviewed those RFPs to date. But this one also went through an RFP process, and we selected Tut Construction for the grandstands. And so this amendment would be looping that scope into Martell's contract. And the amount for that is $1,238,160. And again, that is for both the design and the material and the installation of that material for the grandstands and the bleachers. So it allows for a lot of coordination to occur on what those bleachers will actually look like. The high school made a trip down to Hamilton High School to look at some of their bleachers that Tut Construction also installed, and so there's a lot of things happening to coordinate that design and what those bleachers will actually look like. But this allows for that to occur. And so this action item for the agenda is to recommend approval and board vote for approval for that amendment to occur. Are there any questions on that amendment?
So,
Yeah,
oh,
go ahead.
sorry.
Yep.
So that amount was expected? And
Yes, that is the current expected amount. If it changes, then it would just adjust via change order, whether it increases or decreases based on what the final design is. So that is just looping in the design build portion that it currently is at, correct?
Jared, that we were Shannon.
so I'm just trying to understand why the need for a contract amendment, I guess is my question. This is, let me understand, this work is work that was going to need to be done, and this mill two is coming out of the six mill eight that we're spending on the academic base, correct? So,
Correct.
so why, I guess I'm just trying to understand, will there be an amendment to the contract, for every phase that we build, or why are we seeing that?
No, there won't be one for every phase. The contract that we executed currently with Martell does not have any scopes or GMP amount dollars included in it from a GMP perspective. So this is adding the first scope essentially to that, and we're just doing it early because we are needing to execute that contract with Tut at this point to coordinate the design. There will be a few more, probably 4 total amendments before we get to looping in all portions of work for both phases. And so that, again, that'll probably be one more for the stadium lighting. And then depending on if we need to do a couple things before the actual project gets bid out for in full, there might be 1 or 2 more before that project gets bid out, and then the entirety gets looped into the GMP contract with Martell. So it's really just a phasing perspective of when it happens to be able to do it all at once versus the more phased multiple amendment process. This is the same process that has occurred on previous projects, like Mold Down was this way as well, to loop in additional amendments, just because things just like this have to be ordered and designed early and just be a part of that contract before other things. Like, we're not ready to bid out the project, obviously, until the designs are complete later this year, early next year. And so getting this one included now will just allow us to get this work coordinated at this point, which is a necessary step in the design process.
Okay, one more.
Yep.
Just to clarify, so this amount is the amount to design, build, including all the contractor's fees, et cetera. This is the maximum and install for a setup, correct?
Correct.
And then one more.
Yep.
You had mentioned that we had been given a bid. And I'm curious how that happened before we designed it.
The RFP that went out for this bleacher scope was for companies to provide their proposals for this scope of work. And so the design build scope means that whatever company is selected, they actually design it to their standards, whatever is actually going to be the manufacturer of the actual bleacher system. And each company has a little bit of a proprietary, or they use different manufacturers. And so they were slightly different between all of them. But it includes the design, whoever will manufacture and supply the material, and then the installation was what was included in that RFP. And so when we reviewed those RFPs, Tut was selected with their system and their ability to design it for and coordinate based on whatever specs and what we want the actual bleacher system to look like, and ultimately be the best installer as well. So it's kind of a package deal for all of those scopes. And this is just one that's a very specific design build scope for how these grandstands work. Very a similar aspect to the stadium lighting, which will be forthcoming as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Well, I had one clarifying question because in your discussion, you said you may need to bring this amendment back if it came in under or over budget. But according to what this says, it says total guaranteed maximum price. So the cost would not ever go up, correct?
Well, it's partially correct. The GMP
what I'm
guaranteed,
asking.
yeah, guaranteed maximum price is the term used for the scope that's included in the contract. But if there are changes to it, like if we change this is a 1,500 seat grandstand, for example, if it changed to a 1,700 seating ability grandstand, or in the other direction, a 1,000 seat capacity grandstand, that would change the scope. And therefore, that would be a very easy example of how the cost could either increase or decrease that would potentially adjust this number that we're looking at here. So there are things that can change with what we currently have anticipated that might change this. But if nothing were to change based on what the current design is that Tut proposed on, this would be the number that it ends at. Does that make sense?
It does. So basically, if we ask for changes for something bigger, then we would have to pay more.
Correct.
Correct. But if it stays the same, this would be the maximum price.
Yeah, and just a clarifying a nuance to that is changes that we request that would be bigger, it would increase, or if there was simply just a change to the design for some reason that wasn't necessarily a owner upgrade request, some of those things can have they can result in a cost increase or a cost decrease. So it's really just a coordination effort to get to that point. Those are the things that we don't anticipate to happen, but I just mention it because there are times where that could occur. Yes.
Any other questions? Is there any public comment on this? Oh, yeah, please say, yeah, sure. We'll have to keep it to 2 minutes of our time.
Oh, yeah, I just had some questions. So when will the detailed design, the engineering drawings be complete, and will those be submitted to the city of Whitefish? Or where will I be able to see them?
Unfortunately, because it's public comment, he can't respond to
Oh, okay.
questions.
All right.
Yeah, sorry, it's confusing, but.
Yeah, sorry about that.
You can ask the questions, but no, he unfortunately can't answer.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
okay. Yeah. Is there any other public comment?
Is it public comment about the whole stadium? Or is it just about stands?
At this point, it would be about this item, so.
Just this item, so it would be about this, yeah, these stands.
I mean, I have a comment.
Please, and please say your name.
I'm Lindsay Schott, and I didn't know there was a meeting tonight, so I'm not as organized, but one thing that just listening about the stands, and thank you board for all of your service to the community. But I had talked to Dave Means like 2 years ago about including in these grandstands to have like them be multifunctional. And it sounds like you guys are just talking about maybe a flat, just metal stand. And just as we grow as a community, I think that we're missing a huge opportunity at this point in time to make this stadium a multifunctional like facility. And so I don't know if it's a public comment, or a question, but can the board just state if these are gonna be just flat stands, or is there gonna be like housing for teachers under these stands? Or is there going to be, like some sort of, I don't know, like culinary arts studio? Are there going to be other things under these stands? Or is it just going to be like what we have more of when our community is growing so rapidly? And it's come up time after time that people have moved to this community because their community didn't plan for the growth. And that I don't know where you are exactly with this, and I just felt like I'd jump in. And it was something, sorry, I wanted to be more involved in this process, but our house burned down about 2 weeks after I talked to Dave. And so I always kind of joke, Dave Means must be psyched our house burned down, because there was the because I think we are also missing a huge opportunity, and I wanted to write about this, but I've been busy upstairs and just trying to get a house back. That we're not punching through 4th to 2nd Street to address the traffic flow problem. In addition to that, I know you're just talking about the grandstand, but I don't know that we should just be building a flat building that doesn't address any of the other issues in the community. And I think that you guys as a school board, and I mean, this seems like it's a train that's like going, down a path, but I don't think it's ever too late to be a really powerful community. And I think that's why I've lived in Whitefish for over 30 years, is that we are able to do amazing things in this community. And I don't know, maybe you guys need to rein this back in, because it's a train that like you guys are on. And I don't know how many people like come to public comment. I don't hear a lot of it, but it sort of feels like it's being planned in the dark without addressing the needs of this community as we grow so rapidly. And I know it's probably 2 minutes. We already did mull down, and I was all for mull down, and then it was too small. So just, are these just gonna be flat stands? Because I think that we can make these like multi-dimensional stands, and I'll work on that proposal that I started before the fire, but I just don't want us to miss an opportunity as a community, because this is a really, really big deal. This also, I think, affects where the high school stays, and there's been chatter that it's gonna be moved out to Highway 40 and Route 2 in the community. Like some people are like, oh, we should move it and we should be a school district with Columbia Falls. So anyways, I think that this is just about the stands, but I think it's so much more. And I hope you guys are all considering that, because we're really at a, I don't know if it's a precipice or it's not an apex, but I think we just need to think about this a lot more. And I think that, I mean, I wanted to sit on this and I just haven't had a lot of time, but just, it's really important that we like view this not as a flat project, but as a 3D project. So thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Back to the board for further discussion or motion.
I will make a motion that we approve as presented.
I'll figure that. That is moved by Shannon and seconded by Katie. All those in favor? Okay, we'll move on to agenda item F.
Thank you, Luke.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Take
Liz.
care.
Agenda item F, which is the expansion A&E report.
Good evening, Shane Jacobs, A&E Design. Got a slightly different kind of presentation style tonight. It's mostly just kind of bulleted, but I do have a little graphic that is something to look at, but I warned you in previous meetings that we're gonna not see these big moves between at this stage in the game, and really we're working on a lot of detail. So as you saw when you walked in tonight, every building, well, this building received 2, one for the district office, one for the middle school, the high school received 2, and Muldown received 1 as well. Copy of 9 presentation boards that were used largely over homecoming week, but then are on display now. And so that's one attachment. It's just a copy of those boards for your record, a digital copy of it. So I just wanted to pretty much just break my presentation into 2 pieces, looking back over the last month and then looking forward over what I think the next month looks like, the things on our horizon and radar. So over the last month, we had a meeting with the school district regarding deferred maintenance, which was an item that was part of the bond and the original bond cost. So that was walking through kind of a running list that the maintenance department had created since the 2013 high school was opened. And so it's continuing to just kind of keep those things up to speed and operational. We also had what's kind of the beginning of a OAC, an owner architect contractor meeting to review phasing. So it's construction phasing and starting to really think about how does Martell approach a project like this, and then what does that mean in terms of operating school while contractors are on site. We had a meeting the following week about an item related to one topic that came out of that phasing plan, and that was a topic with the building department about reviewing occupancy in the gym during construction. That's still an ongoing conversation. I've got a follow-up meeting to that on Monday. So just looking at what does this look like when we have less egress, when there's less amenities. I always think of a project like this as you're taking something away before you give it back. So it's definitely a short-term pain for long-term gain kind of approach to a project like this. We had a big week over homecoming week. We had an opening house listening session on Monday of that week. On Wednesday, we had a very full day where we met with all the staff that would be that are impacted by the project, that would be largely moving into those new classrooms or represent the department that would be using those new classrooms. And then later that evening on Wednesday, we had a community presentation and spoke to both the academics and athletics side of the projects. And then the next day was a volleyball game. So we were set up in the gym foyer and caught the end of second half of the JV game and all of the varsity game. And we're available for parents and staff, or parents and parents of both the athletes, but any member of the district or any member of the community to come join and ask questions and listen to any responses. So we were just available to them there, and then did something very similar for the homecoming game the next evening. On that Friday night, Mr. Means and I had a booth set up there as well, right at the entrance, just being available for any community members. We received a lot of good questions, had some conversations with other people that were interested in what more they could do. A lot of parents are just interested when these fields are going to be available for their students, or the facility is going to be available for their students. And then we've had numerous other visits to the school to be measuring and understanding more about the building themselves. So you can see so much in old documents, which we have a good collection of previous construction documents, but we've made several visits to measure and document the things within there, particularly culinary arts and athletics, both indoor and outdoor sports. We've got a few things like that for arts as well. So there's a couple departments that will be moving around that we just wanted to understand more about the equipment you have and how you're working, and be able to apply that, the do's and don'ts, the lessons learned from your current systems, and be able to apply it to the new design. Luke had mentioned that we pushed out that 100% design development set for the academic expansion on the first of the month. And then we had an on-site meeting. I think it was maybe that same day. A cohort from the high school went down to Hamilton to review their athletics facility, particularly their bleachers that had the same design build consultant Tut involved with that project. So we had a meeting the next day upon that return to just review what the school district had observed. So that was everything from just track surfaces to scoreboards to particularly the bleachers and how that worked from an operational standpoint. So it's always good to kind of touch and see, and particularly look at kind of sightline and viewing angles from the bleachers themselves. They are elevated, they are an elevated set of bleachers, and there will be some program underneath of it, particularly athletic storage. And then rounding out that week, we also had a meeting on site to review some potential early work, which might lead to one of those other contract amendments of some of the additional work some of the work that would need to happen as part of the project anyway, but the CSE building is fed off of the high school building in the direction that we would be demolishing and building. So it's kind of a preparatory comment that we were out there seeing how we keep that building live for the next school year without disrupting it and without slowing down Martell during their work. And then as Luke mentioned, Tut was informally selected with, at that time, they're formally tonight. So we're anxious to be kicking off meetings with them. We actually start tomorrow with that. So we just hit the ground running. They're really a key component of that. A&E could design, we could design bleachers, but then it would go out to to all these different proprietary manufacturers that would work under their system. So work to design it, to complete the design to their system. So getting them on board really makes us kind of hand in glove and have a complete team. And since they both design and they build, they're complementing Martell on their side and A&E on the design team side. And then we've had several other design meetings with consultants and Tell and Martell and conversations to help develop and coordinate that design development set. So looking forward, we take that set and really it's used for a couple purposes. We're doing a quality assurance, quality control review internally. We continue that coordination with all of our consultants. The school district is reviewing those documents and commenting on it. We're also having some early conversations with the city and continue to do so just to make sure they're not caught off guard with anything at Public Works, the building department, or planning and zoning. And then we take those and progress into the construction document phase. And Martell, as was mentioned, is pricing it. And then we will sit down and review that pricing and adjust any scope accordingly and continue strategizing with that pricing information. And so that's kind of the beauty of this process. We take that information and let it continues to hone the design and inform an aspect of schedule and design and constructability that you wouldn't have if you didn't have this particular delivery method and a contractor counterpart at the table working closely with us. We'll continue working with Tell and Martell in the school district that identify those early bid packages. So that's what are the things that can happen sooner than later. Obviously want to keep those to a minimum as we can, but as Luke so well described, there's often need for that in a project like this with just the complexities and being able to kind of set yourself up for the bigger move before it's time to actually break ground and get to the bulk of the work. Our documents in that 100% DD set will also be used for some hazardous material testing in the school, which is a requirement, something that you want to do anyway when you're working around students and then the contractors themselves that are building it. So when you start dipping into an old building, you got to go take little samples before and send it off to a lab and do a full-blown report about it. So that work will be coming up soon. We're working with Luke on that. And then we've got an upcoming coordination meeting that I think will probably get scheduled next week with the county sanitarian just to walk through the program at Culinary Arts and then both the internal and external concessions. So both for the athletic project and the academic project. We will deliver that 100% design development set for athletics. So the same milestone, but for the athletics, we're a little staggered in how we're approaching both projects and just our delivery and our milestones. And then tomorrow we have a couple meetings to talk about some of that potential early work with fiber and utilities going out to CSE, and I'll sit down with Mr. Drown. We'll walk through some of the parking lot and just making sure we got enough parking spots with our fairly packed site to make sure that all the people that need to park here and there have spaces to do so, or we're allocating them appropriately. We spoke a little bit, Mr. Means and I spoke a little bit at the football game about with some of those donors about beginning to put together a donor ask graphics package. So if somebody's interested, it would be above and beyond what is included in the bond. But there seems to be a need there because people are asking. So if they want to elevate materials or provide more, that would be an opportunity for the community to do so. The next bullet we completed last week, we spent some time on the roof of the high school walking around and just seeing where potential past failures are, where we might be having leaks and other things that Chad Smith has been dealing with over the years. So we brought out Martell and A&E and Tell, so Luke from Tell, and and then a roofing subcontractor, and we walked the roof to kind of kick the tires, so to speak, on what to do about a couple conditions up there, so we can translate those into our documents as well. We're working on completing a conditional use permit, which is a requirement of expanding the high school within the neighborhood that it's in. And so it's a kind of a non-conforming use because it's not a residence. And so that's something that you did in the last high school expansion project. We're also, don't have it scheduled yet, but we're planning on bringing the project to a preliminary architectural review committee with the city of Whitefish. So that's mainly commenting on aesthetics and the design. That's something that's required of a permit, but there is a preliminary version of that. That's on a larger, complicated project like this. It's good to bring it in front of that board early to be able to get their buy-in and kind of early comments. So you're not taken off guard by something late when you're waiting on a permit and all of a sudden they've got an opinion that you need to address. And then similarly, some preliminary site reviews for both athletics and academics, and that's largely led by our civil engineer, but I will join those meetings with public works and zoning as well. And then there is a contract modification that is in development in the background on our side that is related to mostly engineering, but it's some things with the that deferred maintenance list and some other things that we know you'll need. And we had some placeholders in our proposal and A&E's proposal related to furniture selection and bringing a kitchen consultant on board for some of the lighter kitchen work that's associated with culinary arts and the concession areas. What do you have for me?
I do. I'm noticing that you had a ton of listening sessions and community presentations, and I want to thank you both for that. I think it was really strategic to do it with homecoming when people were already in the building. If people wanted a listening session or opportunity to meet and get questions asked in the future, do you have like office hours, or is there any time that's convenient for people to contact you?
Good question. That's probably a more accessible way. I know, I mean, you've received a few questions, Mr. Means, and that you've passed along to us if there was a question about something. So we're happy to address those in that way, or if this is a good forum, I could do that as well.
Yeah, I do receive some time, I'll forward those on, share those for discussion in some of the committees that are working on this, but also, yeah, throughout the spring, we offer those opportunities, multiple opportunities for put into that shares, things like that, things like that, and we moved into the summer and did the same.
And the farmers market.
In the farmers market, offer those up. We got a lot of great ideas, things that were shared with those events, and we share those with Lou and Jane and everybody in other meetings as well. So I think we're getting some of those opportunities. I think future opportunities is a good thought. I wrote down some thoughts about parent teacher conferences as another opportunity that we want to make sure we have those boards and some of their available to answer questions like that. So I'm gonna, I think we talked about that in the past. At least another update or two prior to March. For the community, although we are progressing quickly, we just finished our 100% design drawings. But there's opportunities for people to share their thoughts regarding those updates.
Yeah.
How do you advertise? Like if someone wanted to find out when the listening sessions are.
Those are in the pilot.
Okay.
And some of those have been carried on KPAX and other TV stations.
And they're on your website.
And they're also on our website. Questions?
Try to leave no stone unturned, but every once in a while you get a good doozy out there, and so.
I just was curious because you talked about chatting with the departments in the school, et cetera, that are gonna be most impacted as you build. Do we, speaking of communication, do we ever, and you guys did this before that, I'm sure, but the neighborhoods around there that are gonna be most impacted? Do we do like little flyers that's like, hey, by the way, they're gonna stay? How do we accurately let the neighborhoods? So
Sure. Yeah.
It's like,
I sped to an answer and you went into it. It was, your question ended up a little differently than I anticipated, but the conditional use permit is an opportunity that the city offers for all of the surrounding properties to be part of a public process. So there will be some public processes.
so they'll know.
Yes, and so it'll go through a couple steps of both site planning will be a public meeting and ultimately it's accepted by council. But if there are other things as well of like traffic patterns and things like that, I know we are working between the school district and Martell and Tell and A&E, thinking about what are those disruptions, what are those changes. There will be some, most of them are going to happen right on the high school property, but inevitably there will be some other circulation changes that impact the neighborhood. So we're not getting into too many utilities, so I don't think we're shutting many people down on anything.
Just tracking.
But there will be some scheduled things for sure.
I think maybe this, she was alluding to this, and I'm not sure if you answered it. When this progresses forward, this is what I want to know. How do we say, hey, we're going to be starting construction and moving equipment around, and it's going to affect your traffic flow? Do we go out to the neighborhoods at that point, knock on doors? How do
Yeah.
say to people, hey, by the way, when you get up tomorrow, you're not gonna be able to get to work?
Yeah.
I mean, it seems important.
Yeah. Most of it's happening right within the school district property. We had a couple of utilities we thought we were going to get into in the bordering streets in Pine and Fourth. But we solved for other ways to do that. There's still going to be deliveries and things like that.
Yeah.
And we're going to work closely with, well, Martell is going to work closely with the school district. It's going to be a monthly, weekly, and sometimes daily outlook on making sure like, okay, we got a big delivery or we're pouring concrete, and those are happening on certain days at certain times. And yeah. So I know that communication is planned to happen with anybody that receives district emails. I'm not sure how specific neighbors, if they're not already linked to the school, but it won't be as disruptive as your Sixth Street project.
Like the highways are, where I can text a certain thing to some code and it'll update me all the time, like when you're blasting out on 93, et cetera. Is that a possibility?
Construction update.
I think one of the thoughts there was to set up on our website any updates, like you said. And
But
then,
I don't want to have to go check it.
no, I understand. So, but
I'm lazy. I
Yeah,
just want to get a text.
yeah, we'll see if there's opportunity.
Okay.
Sign up, some kind of messaging. That's a good one.
Sure. Yeah. And then last thing, I just want to appreciate the public comments on the letter that Robin sent. And she was part of our community meeting on that Wednesday night in the middle of homecoming week. So a lot of great comments there. I appreciate the comments. And I don't know if you did this on purpose. A couple of the projects you referenced were A&E projects. So these are good projects to follow. So we do try to future-proof our buildings. And that's from capacity standpoint. We understand the investment in the community and how long this building needs to last. So there's a ton of sustainable pieces of that, but it's also just understanding how it plugs in from an embodied energy, from a fossil fuel, from an indoor air quality, and the sustainability and design excellence aspects of what it is that we do. So there's a lot of layers in there and a lot of complexities, and there's a lot of moving pieces right now. And so we recognize the importance of that as something we hold in high regard as our firm. And I think the community appreciates that as well.
I had one more quick question, just because it started about the donor ask, and I don't know if that's even, so who is making, like, if there's a donor who's just, or however this is gonna look, I guess, maybe this is a conversation later, is to explain to us what that's gonna look like. As far as, if someone comes and says, oh, I wanna donate, I'm just thinking like at the hospital, like a foundation person says, I wanna donate this for this specific diagnosis or something like that. So there's certainly those donors, but then like you said, if they're just general, I'll give you $5,000, how would you like to spend it? Who's helping prioritize that list?
Yeah, it's something I want to talk about with Luke and in the district or meeting on Monday. We usually meet bi-weekly, and this Friday would be the meeting typically, but because of MEA, we're pushing it to Monday this week. But it's something that I have volunteered that will work. A&E will work on the graphics for that, since we have so many of the assets already with the design work itself.
And so you have like a priority list based upon the,
I've
is
got
that
an,
what's happening? Gotcha. Okay,
I've got
that's
an
your priority,
idea.
so I didn't-
I've got an idea how it looks, but I need to bring it to the school district and then have them
Gotcha.
refine it, give me some direction on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for explaining.
You
Good
bet.
problem to have.
Yes.
I know,
think
right?
That's what.
We'll take it.
We don't have to spend this money.
Are there any other?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will be moving on to G with Mr. Means, which is the WSBWEA Jazz Band MOA.
This jazz band MOA, we've had on the agenda for the past few years, so it's not new to you, but what is different about this one this year is we've outlined it for 2 years in a row because we have collective bargaining agreement for 2 years. So we were able to then identify the amounts for that 2-year period. So before you was a recommendation for this memorandum of agreement that allows us to do an additional section essentially of jazz band or opportunity at least for jazz band at high school.
Any questions? Is there any public comment on the agenda item? Go back to the board for further discussion or a motion.
I'll move to approve. A second.
Yeah, that was moved by Katie and seconded by Quincy. All those in favor? Okay. So now we'll move on to H, which is disposal of property resolution with Lucy Shea.
Thank you. Presented for your consideration is a resolution calling for disposal of all musical instruments. The district has a total of 99 obsolete instruments that are no longer suitable for quality education. Before the items are disposed of, best efforts will be made to sell them online, sell them for the value of their parts or metal. Any proceeds from the sale will be deposited into the band program fund. A complete list of the instruments was attached to your agenda. It was a very nice document prepared by Mark McCready, who knows the ins and outs of the instrument inventory like nobody else. I would also like to mention that 63 musical instruments have already been replaced through the Make Music Resolution. 37 more instruments are going to be purchased soon. Any resolution of any property owned by the district or any disposition of assets needs to have a resolution. An approval from the board. That's one we're having. Any question, food question?
Nicely done.
Yeah.
The paperwork and the
Is there any public comment? Back to the board for a motion or further discussion.
I was just gonna say, that's a crazy long list. I don't know how that stuff is stored. Like, oh my god. It's a lot of stuff, but
You know,
thank you, this is great.
yeah, into descriptions.
Yes.
And he knows, yeah, it's crazy. And
What?
he mentions exactly 17 and plus 82.
Yeah.
And I counted and it is
Spot on.
exactly 17 to 82.
Your math parts there, it's great.
As of the bill.
Oh, yeah.
I move we approve the resolution.
I second.
All right, that is moved by Rainey and seconded by Quincy, all in favor. Okay. Thank you.
That you even include things that are not in the database.
We are moving into I, which is the Whitefish School District Action Plan update with Mr. Means.
Thank you. I'm excited to share with you tonight the latest draft of our Whitefish School District Action Implementation Plan. This plan includes some updates based on data, review, survey, feedback, committee feedback and input, solid recommendations to me. So we try to capture some of those things in this latest implementation plan, essentially. But I think it's important to point that out. So we have a strategic plan and we have the goals, and the goals are action steps are A, the district will develop and implement a consistent, frequent and purposeful collaborations. We're not adjusting any of those in this. This is really essentially the implementation component, right? So we looked at this and said, okay, we want to prioritize the collaboration. That was based on feedback. So that's based on our feedback from our surveys, things like that, that indicated that we really need to prioritize that teacher collaboration, make sure that we're ensuring that, like, for instance, our professional learning team that are always focused on that specific task rather than other purposes. Here's another component. So if you look at B, in that one we added status, learning intentions, success criteria, developing teacher care clarity, K-12. Worried about that, so it's based on feedback, essentially too as well, because really, this gets to guaranteed viable curriculum and all the things that Lisa shared. We'll measure that and look at the progress related to that through curriculum documents. As we develop them, we'll be able to see our progress. You can see that we also looked at added district assessments to the data to guide our decisions. And then we've added some specific district assessments this year, M-class, the pre-ACT, ACT, AP, just as ways to monitor our progress. And then some other areas, just to give you an example, we document the frequency of our regular classroom visits by administration. And because we've added some information about looking at learning progressions, intentions, and success criteria related to our interventions and personalized learning. But we also are going to be increasing our visits and frequency of classroom visits by administration. And then in F, you can see we've added quite a bit there too, but related to teacher clarity again, and that increased frequency of classroom visits. So that's the whole academic component that included some of the updates we added. And then I'll just quickly go through some of the other areas, the safe, inclusive, and welcoming component. We added quite a bit in there, as you can see, based on that feedback, surveys, committee input, and so forth. We've added the school climate survey, because that wasn't in there previously. Communication survey as well. And then we've added some information related to an updated MTS guidelines, which we did that process. Emergency operation plan that will help us as well. We'll look at schools and safe school protocols, a balanced screen time initiative. These are all related to implementing safe, welcoming practices. The graduate profile is related to that as well. And then that frequency of classroom visits too. Supporting teachers and supporting staff and supporting students in classroom visits. And then again, the district will, in the professional development, will be guided by input. The MTSS committees, PLC representatives, QRT committees, as well as district surveys, etc. So we're trying to emphasize, we're looking at this feedback that's going to guide a lot of these areas. And in the as you get to the last the family and community engagement section, you can see some components there. The district will collaborate with consultants as they determine the resources and systems required to most efficiently support communication engagement. What we did last year, we'll continue that progress, consulting with others to help us guide our next steps related to infrastructure to determine the resources required to effectively support communication. And then the last component is really looking at the enrollment facilities committee. Combined convenes if needed. I changed that language in there just to keep you updated. As it said that we'll meet annually, and it may not be necessary to meet. Could be. So just put that language in there. And district review the long-term range facility plan. And will be reviewed at the school board as needed. So that was a quick review because we've had a lot to go over this evening. But these are just some of the components we added to the district plan based on the feedback data we had. Any thoughts or questions on that? I know you've been able to see previously.
I was just gonna ask you, because there's quite a few changes, and it's for 24 to 27. I remember we talked a lot about it. So would you anticipate that then this won't need to be changed again?
I
do
think
you
we
feel like-
annually wanna
Yeah.
look at our data and information in about this time of year. Just consider whether there needs to be updates. We have a lot of data, and feedback and information to look at this time, so it may not be as extensive.
Gotcha.
Where you talk about, start documenting frequency of regular classroom, because it's by administration.
Mhm.
So then each school will define what that frequency of, and then, and it says the same thing then when you go to the middle down in middle school and high school. There's reference to visits, but not a minimum, and I wonder if you all discussed that when you did that action plan. Just because
We have definitely discussed that as a great goal to be in there each week. To every classroom.
Right.
Buildings between the two administrators.
Right.
And as district administration, we just didn't identify the exact time.
it just seems like that it would be wise, since you're gonna monitor it, to assess, to either have consistency between the schools or depend on their developmental population. A defined frequency, you say once a week, but it's not noted anywhere this, so. And once a week might be too much for some schools.
It's certainly noted in our documents as administration, as we look at it, and as we look at it each time we come together, and the frequency, we are all documenting that on the same spreadsheet. So it's really nice for us to be able to look at it together and see, look what we're doing. Each time we come together, look at it together, see how we're progressing. So it is documented on those forums. It's not on the action plans per se. But it's good suggestion.
Yeah.
And there were, I mean, just for clarity and transparency across the district, it might be helpful. You did say district will document weekly classroom visits by administration.
Mhm.
Because frequency and regular might be different things for different people.
And then you defined what I mean, is a visit, I pop my head in and look and leave, or is a visit, I come in and spend a couple of minutes walking around? Because, I mean, what is a visit, I guess?
Well, we definitely didn't get into that detail in here. This is.
Right.
But yes,
But
we
you-
have that defined for ourselves,
Okay.
what that looks like. And we do plan on discussing that in a work session coming up.
Good.
So,
Okay, so we'll get more information on.
yeah.
I do think it's very obvious that your changes reflect all of the surveys. and
Yes.
Education recommendations.
Yes,
I mean, this is excellent evidence of listening.
yes,
Thank
it
you.
is.
Yeah,
Thanks. We tried to capture is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What a lot of work.
yeah, really, honestly, and to be able to synthesize it down to just a few pages makes it feel really actionable.
Impressive. Did you have to remove K-12 Connect from that set? And you never defined in there?
It's not, it's in the community engagement plan.
Did it, okay,
Yeah, you leave
yes,
only there.
okay. Yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, okay. And any other questions?
I don't like that, it's just like a lot to do, so do you pick one thing, like how do you prioritize it?
It's a great point. I think there's a lot here to do. We try to do our best to address some of these things. And here, to Quincy's point, really, these are not annual action plans.
So you think you have time?
You have time to address this, right?
Right.
Over the 3 year.
Yeah, it's like eating an elephant right here.
Well,
But it's
Yeah,
it's not an annual.
Okay.
Yeah.
That helps to bring it like that.
I guess my only comment would be, I would love to see some. A grammar review of this, and I'm not gonna go into the specifics for once. But it would be nice, there's some sentences here that are beyond run-ons. And believe me, I know run-on sentences, so.
Okay,
So if somebody could just,
sure. That's good. And just to be clear too, this is really dry.
Right.
well, that's, now's the time.
Yeah, it's just an idea for us to get some input also from the board on this, and we've talked about it at various levels, so. Good, thank you for that.
Well, these are great mission
Yeah, they're good.
statements, but I agree with Katie that not everything is going to be accomplished at once. Many
Yeah.
things are coinciding at the same time,
Yep.
and that's great. But it takes time to get all of your actions going.
But I wanted to say to you that I appreciate you both saying that, because it is super clear to us that there's too much, right?
Yeah.
For us to achieve at one time, so, yeah, we don't see this as money in document.
It's small bites.
It's a small, but. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Thanks. So we'll move on to J, which is the Muldown Middle School and High School Action Plan updates. Mr. Collins up first.
Drew the short straw. Because I have all the little ones. The action plan, I'm listening to Dave talk and listening to the questions you have, it's all it all kind of goes into that one container. I think that, because a lot of the things that we talk about at the schools, at the school level, are the same thing that Dave was talking about as a district. And you look at the first three goals, you've got academic improvement, safe and inclusive schools, and family community partnership and engagement. And so those, and then all the letters that come underneath that are directed towards what we can do to make those things a part of our plan. So as far as collaboration goes, we changed that from, I think it originally said 3 times a year to every 6 weeks. And that part of that was because we had started out in the beginning at 6 weeks, kind of switched it up due to a number of different reasons, and then went back to 6 weeks because that's what we were supposed to do. And it was very well received, and they value collaboration time like none other. And it's productive. I mean, that's where they do these alignments. That's where they talk about priority standards. They talk about data. They talk about how they can improve their classrooms, how they can improve, if they have students that they're struggling with, all those kind of things. And it's kind of a set aside from the PLC itself. So it's a half-day sub-release, and it works really well, as long as we can find subs. As far as intervention goes, intervention is another big piece of what we do, trying to address the needs of all the students. Win time. Last year we talked about win time, having a school-wide win time for math in the afternoon. It didn't quite work the way we had hoped it did or would, just basically because it was the end of the day, and logistically it just wasn't what wasn't what we were hoping. Now they don't want to get rid of win time. Win time is important. They have win time for math and reading, and they do it they set it up based upon their grade level schedule. And so I think they're getting more out of it. I know it's early in the year, but I think they're getting more out of it now. So that's a priority. It's the intervention. We have the different tests that we use. iReady M-Class this year for math and reading, used for title placement, used to progress monitor, used to develop our intervention groups. And the 3 ladies that work in that department do a heck of a job putting all that stuff together. There's a lot of data gathering, And if you see the word data throughout all this, that's why it's so important. Data analysis, gathering data, PLCs, we meet weekly to go over that data. And so that data drives the decisions that are being made and the instruction that's taking place. And we throw teacher clarity into it, which is a big push right now. And just kind of gathering those standards, those priority standards, and the practices, the learning progressions, the desired outcomes. That's all going to be a part of what we do as we move forward through the next couple of years. And it's pretty important. And of course, we're going to need professional development. That's another piece. And that professional development that comes from the information that we gather from the surveys and from teacher input. And Lisa did a great job of putting together this last PD day that we had based upon that information that we received from the teachers and from the surveys. Excuse me. Classroom visits. I'm glad you guys were talking about those a little bit. That's kind of new to us this year, and we're really enjoying it because we get to see bits and pieces of all kinds of things. And but you look at it, you look at teacher styles, you look at consistency, effectiveness, student engagement has been amazing. And every once in a while they get interrupted because they see you come in the room and they go, "What are you doing here?" So, yeah, but it's always a lot of fun.
Can I say something?
Sure.
That's because he's.
I know he's like a celebrity.
He is a celebrity.
They just like me because they feel bad for me because I'm old.
Yes.
Some of the, I'm sorry. Some of the initiatives this year, we're not just this year, but the screen balance, the limited screen time has been in action. That's part of the plan as well. This year we're looking at math fluency. So, just fact fluency in math. Math has been kind of a focus this year for us because we're looking at new math curriculum. And so we're piloting right now, and we're looking at a possible adoption next year. And so those things are happening all the time based upon the plan. PLCs and MTSS have been kind of streamlined a little bit. That was something that we talked about based on information we got from a meeting we had with Genevieve Thomas, who was a consultant who gave us, we need to condense and kind of, not have people all over the place and then getting misinformation. Personalized learning, attendance, communication, these are all things that we're focusing on within this plan because they're so important. And then as far as the family and community involvement, now that our doors are open and people can come in, we got volunteer. I've been signing volunteer paperwork for 3 weeks. And it's great because they all come in and read, and they go on field trips, and they do all the fun things and helpful things that we do at the elementary school. Family night, Kelly does such a great job of putting together community events for our kids and for the families. And that's a part of that plan too, because we want people to know what we're doing. And we also want them to see how well we're doing. And of course, some people have never been in the building, and isn't that right, Rainey?
Yes.
So,
So much.
yeah, and so that's a big deal, and it's helpful, and I want them to feel welcome. I want them to know that they can come and view and watch and visit anytime that they can want. And that's the same thing with programs and special events, music, Molly night. Well, we don't do Molly night anymore. The circus, just the different activities that we do. So that's kind of in a nutshell. It hasn't changed a whole lot, but we took information that the staff has given us, kind of tweaked a few things, and we'll continue to do so as we need to. So, yeah. Any questions?
I have one. What's going on with the report cards?
Oh, thank you.
So sorry.
Yeah, report cards, they for years now, we've been looking at adjusting those, and we're still doing that. So I've kind of been playing around in IC in what's called the sandbox. So you can go in there and do things and not worry about messing everything up. And so I've been doing that, and we've been adjusting some of the standards. We want to try to, one of the issues or one of the things in here is that vertical alignment. And we're trying to look at, putting that together. So we're going from grade 1 to 2 to 3, and then eventually kind of addressing the same standards and building upon them as we go from grade to grade. Right now, the report cards are kind of scattered, and they've been that way for a number of years. And so it's a slow work, but it's coming. So hopefully we're going to make some adjustments this year, and then we'll continue to do so.
John, is one of the adjustments, one of the things I've noticed is report cards don't always include some kind of personal comment about the child. And I would hope that in moving forward, as a teacher, I felt the most valuable thing on a report card was not all that the beat and the
Right.
data, but the comment about the child, because the parent wants to know how the child is interacting with others, what the child's strengths and weaknesses are, beyond the
Right.
twos or the threes or the
Mhm.
whatever. So I would hope that the encouragement, I've had grandchildren's report cards who've had some sort of nice comments and then had report cards that had no comments.
Right.
And so the comment, I think, would be wonderful. And I know it's a lot of work, believe me. They don't know what work is. However, when I started teaching, it was all handwritten and you had a pack as thing this big and you wrote on every subject.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
there was
remember
no
that too,
computers to
Jen.
use. But just just think that that's one of the most important things about it.
One of the things we talked about for behavior or for that part of that, you know, that social emotional piece or whatever, is to just stick with, because our three universals are be safe, be kind, work hard. And use those as the three categories and then comment below that within those. And so that would be a good place for those kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you wanna make it easy for teachers. but-
Exactly, yeah.
I'm glad they did do that.
Definitely the theme that I see in yours, John, is clarity. Yeah, you have clarity all throughout, even doing the report cards, it's about establishing not just teacher clarity, but parent clarity.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So thank you.
Yeah.
Can I ask, speaking of clarity, can I ask one question about, cause this had come up a few years back, especially at Muldown, just because of the age of the kid, the importance of being able to communicate with teachers, and that each year, like, this teacher uses Seesaw, this teacher uses JoJo, or this teacher uses Green Mind, like, it was so confusing as a parent, like, oh my gosh. What is the
The
system now?
majority of the
Like,
teachers still use Seesaw.
So,
Um,
but not everybody.
but I
necessarily.
think now that we were able to have parents log into IC.
Yeah.
And into the portal.
Yeah.
I will probably start using that, I would assume, more and more.
Okay.
I think the teachers really like Seesaw, and it has its benefits.
I
But
just, yes, I just remember that being a very confusing thing at
Yeah,
Pull Down, and
yeah.
so having a universally.
Yeah.
right,
Like, I do enjoy that, middle schools just call.
Yeah.
In the campus, like,
Yeah,
each know, each tier, it's the same thing, so, yeah.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I was just curious. Thank you.
You bet.
Thanks, Amar.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would like to introduce Mr. Josh Branson. Hey, sir. The beauty part of having John go first is he says most of the things that Gary and I. Most of the changes we've had, this has been most of the changes, so that we've had in quite some time
Yeah.
since we put this put in place. And a lot of that's based on the multiple surveys and staff discussions that and the data that we received recently from last year. So it was helpful to at least have some something to go on. As in years past, we presented to the staff, any changes? No. So again, we've done the same thing. Had the staff look at it, review it. And just take a look at from different lenses. So the first time for the middle school, we presented and said, here's our building plan. Let's take a look at it through the lens of the graduate profile. That's relatively new for our district. And received some feedback from that and made some revisions. And then the next month, we put it out to the staff again. It's all right, take a look at the plan now with these revisions, with the idea of teacher clarity and the recent training they received. It was right after our PIR sessions, and received some more feedback and made some revisions there. And then through the feedback and the in conjunction with the district work that we did together is we made the changes that you see here. Lots of additions regarding learning intentions, teacher clarity, learning outcomes, sprinkled throughout all of them. I'm going to do a little bit different than what John did. Instead of going through, a lot of the same themes come through in both, in all three categories. Additions to goals in regards to measuring and facilitation, walkthroughs and surveys from the feedback we will receive more from the surveys that go out here again this year. Excuse me. And then the revisions of PE and collaboration was a big theme that you would see throughout the document that is placed in front of you. So one aspect I like about this is the freedom that each building has to create their own plan. And looking at at John's plan and at Carrie's plan and seeing like, what are they doing? Everyone's different. John's is a very specific of grade levels. Carrie's is specific with, you know, preparing them for that next level of either career or college. And ours is kind of in the middle of, you know, preparing our kids to be academic and citizens for that next level. Thank you, Dave, for allowing us that freedom to create our own specific plans to meet our own specific needs. Questions?
It's nice to see all the collaboration because it recognizes the value of each participant.
They strive, it depends on who you talk to. They want collaboration, but they don't want to leave the class.
Yeah. I don't know, hours in the day, so much. Thank you very much. Yeah.
With that, I'll bring up Carrie Drown,
Yes.
principal of the high school.
Yeah. Thank you. Who is that?
Thank you, Mr.
Never heard of them.
Wonderful. Good evening, everyone. Ditto. Thank you.
Good job.
Touche. So in our plan, I guess the way that we approach this is we asked ourselves, you know, what systems and programs do we have in place that we could make more effective, be more efficient, utilize to the next level. And so that's where you see some of our terminology that hopefully jumps off the page to you are focusing on our collaboration team times. We've advanced quite a bit with our data analysis. Every one of our collaboration teams is assigned to a grade level, and they analyze data in that grade level. The work that was done with our freshman team, that if you recall Cole Davidson, when he did some a presentation here recently, the work that the freshman team did really has permeated and spread across our school. And so we have that kind of a model. He's at definitely the advanced level. But we have that kind of model in place, and all of our teams are starting to delve in, look at spreadsheets with that kind of information in it, the greens, the reds, the yellows, and identifying students that need interventions and so forth. So that's in here in terms of collaboration team growth and their, you know, their involvement increasing throughout this document. Of course, teacher clarity is peppered in here as well, as a focal point for our district and our schools, like my colleagues also mentioned. The administration involvement in our collaboration teams is a next level commitment from us. We heard that, like you said, in the surveys. And so Hallie and I sat down and mapped it out for the entire year. And we've made those commitments in our calendars to visit each of those teams, each of us every other week. So we're sitting with those teams and finding out what's on their minds, watch the work that they're doing. There's some incredible stuff going on. So, and they're very proud of that. And I, you know, that we are as well. You'll see some, let's see, in one of our data, it's talking about the advanced placement that Lisa brought up earlier. So now now we know that we can access that kind of information at some deeper levels in terms of analyzing that over time. So that's in one of our sections there. We added advanced placement tests to our other testing analysis. And you know, CTE with our expansion coming up here and all of that, a lot of work is going into increasing those facilities. And we want to be very strategic how we select our programs that infill those spaces and what we're able to offer our students now with the facilities on the horizon. So utilizing what's called the comprehensive local needs assessment, which we already do, but we went to a workshop here recently with several other administrators in the state and talking about the Perkins grant and CTE programs in particular, and analyzing a lot of the workforce needs. They've got a lot of information out there about the labor force and where the needs are and what the projections are for the future. So you're trying to utilize good information to guide us. Particularly like local information. Yeah, it's nice to know what's going on even in Eastern Montana or other states, but really what's going on here in the Flathead Valley. A lot of these students are, finding jobs here, and we want to support that. And then base camp pops up in here, and I think it's worth noting that we've really taken another level move with trying to guide our students into helping them use their time efficiently and effectively for them. So more involvement, check and connect is what we call it, time with our staff. Each of our teachers has a small group, 12-ish students in their base camp of the same grade level. They get to know, they look at their grades, they have a lock-in, we call it Monday lock-in for base camp. They don't go anywhere. They go to them for a half hour and they're checking with each of those students. And then other base camps, they're meeting with other teachers and getting to, navigate their world wherever their needs are. But it's guided with the green sheet, the infamous green sheet on Monday that they map their week. And that's just a really important component of helping students. Some students, it comes naturally. And there's kind of this interesting correlation. The ones that it comes more naturally and they fill it out every week without prompting, are naturally, higher achievers in school. And so what it means is the ones that aren't filling it out, they're the ones that really need the green sheets. And that's why we have them, and we need to give them guided practice with that so that they can make better decisions on the use of their time and so forth. So anyway, it's good stuff.
That base camp program should be nationwide. I mean, that's such a great idea.
Yeah, we really we've landed on a really strong part in our schedule, and it's a big deal for us. Yeah. There's lots of residual effects that come off of that. And how we're able to access entire grade levels for different meetings without interrupting other classes. In the old days, you wanted to have an assembly with the seniors, you were interrupting a whole bunch of classes to get them together. So anyway, I think base camp adds to our overall wellness in our school too. And that's hard to measure, but with all these little elements that help relieve stress, help when people feel like they know where they're going, what they're supposed to do, get that clarity back in the picture. It relieves a lot of their internal angst. And then I think that's about it. And then the tail end is the same for all of our schools. The whole facilities thing is, the district piece is just superimposed in each of our plans. So anyway, kind of the gist of it all. Is there anything on there that I didn't quite touch or get a sense of how we're trying to take things to the next level?
I just think even just the rewriting of that base camp, it just, the whole, that sentence versus the one that was there before, it focuses, like, it seems like wellness is the focus. It just is really well written, I think, so I appreciated
absolutely.
that.
Remember the survey said we want to know the why? The why is so clear all throughout. And the other thing, in terms of clarity, I love how specific and measurable your goals are. Like, we're looking exactly for the number of D's and F's, and we're looking exactly, twice a month. And it's like very actionable, because it's so specific and measurable, and you'll know, like, we did it or we didn't. So here's what we need to fix. It's really well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Clarity is our focus. I mean, it's teacher clarity is, an aspect, but the word clarity, I said, that is my personal focus this year. I want to be more clear in everything that I'm doing, everything that I'm expressing, I'm expecting, so on and so forth. So that's one of my own personal goals.
True.
Yeah.
Also, I love that you use kid terms, like high school kids say lock-in. Right, like I need to lock in means I need to focus, right? And so you're using their verbiage with lock-in. I mean, if it wasn't their words, it would sound like prison, but yeah.
No, we're really happy with this document, and we feel it's really hype. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Carrie.
It was cool in the seventies.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
Very.
6 or 7, yeah. All right.
I
Anything else? Thank you.
Here. The Whitefish School District Logan Health Agreement with Mr. Mead.
Okay. To be clear.
We do this every year.
Yeah, this is a memorandum of understanding with Logan Health, Center. We've had this for many years. Essentially, this provides us an opportunity to partner with Logan Health to support wellness services within our school district. Later in our agenda, you'll see a recommendation for hire for the wellness coordinator. So we have someone on site who helps coordinate a committee that works with the Logan Health in partnership. So this is the Logan Health component of that. Effort, or wellness effort.
Are there any clarifying questions?
I move we.
Oh,
approve-
I got it. Why is there any public comment? Now back to the board for a motion or,
I move we approve the memorandum with Logan Health and Health Fitness Center in the school. I'll second.
okay, so moved by Jerry and seconded by Rainey, all in favor?
Oh, it's so done. Okay, or many years.
I think it said, I think I read 2013.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, we're moving on to L, the superintendent evaluation tool with Mr. Hanson presenting.
Elated to present this. We went back and did another brush of this in the committee, just made a few little changes that you see reflected here. There's one thing that, page is that on the last page? That is not correct in this document that needs to be addressed.
There's one like extra page. Like page 14.
Yeah, page 14.
I don't know if that's what you're referencing, but.
Or we could say, this page is potentially left blank.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what that's about.
This has to do with, there's a place in here where okay, so it says, it's on page 12, is an example of this, it might be in other places, but on page 12, the blue there, just pick the 3 to 5 areas to expand upon. That actually should say, provide 3 to 5 examples of evidence of your, of the above, and this will be everywhere with after each section. There was some discussion in this meeting about going back to what the chair had said, can this be more concise? Can we not have to spend 3 days reading it? And so there was some discussion as to, should we limit?
Yeah.
And where, and at what point to limit? To be fair, I voted for more than 300 words. But this is where we settled. And so I still don't think that's enough, but I'll deal with it. So that should say something along the lines of, and I want to make sure that language is clear before we, vote on this. But it's basically pick 3 to 5 examples of evidence for the above. And then the part about limit narrative, should say limit narrative to 300 words maximum, use of concise statements is encouraged.
Do we need to have an amendment?
We really
Accept this.
do, yeah, so I would move that we refer to the amendment that we change that or as reflected by a committee.
I have a clarifying question on the same thing. Is it 300 words per example?
No, so the way that, at least the way I understand it, is that the examples are potentially links. Like here's a
Okay.
document
Okay.
that's how I understood it. And that's, in the past, what Mr. Means provided was umpteen,
Very thorough.
very,
Links
to documents that we could click on and go read, et cetera.
Right.
And that's fine, except we don't need umpteen. And so we thought 3 to 5 would be sufficient for that. And that's how I view it, is that as a Or I think it could be also a bullet point, would that be correct, where you could just say, the data from section so indicates this as one of your bullets of evidence, so it could be just three points of evidence, so. Whether it's an attached document or a thing, and then I think the narrative was a 300 words.
Yeah.
For that whole section.
Correct, it's per section.
So what is are you making an amendment? Well, before you make the amendment,
Sure,
can we discuss a little bit more?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so as a member of that committee, I think this goes a little tiny way and brevity, or making this more reasonable for the superintendent and for the board. And I think more than 3 areas to expand upon is excessive. And I was outnumbered in the committee, but what do you guys think? Or how much time did Mr. Mean spend doing this? And don't we see him 3 times a month at least, for a total of at least 5 hours? And can't we kind of figure out if he knows what he's doing by 2 or 3 examples? Maybe over the top, but
I very much feel like Dave is a good, or any superintendent, like, can probably get their, like, yes, like, these are the things that guide me in my leadership, these are the things that I reference for my, decision-making kind of things, probably with, I mean, I could say, probably 3 since very realistic. But,
And I'm gonna stop 1 second.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do, is there any public comment on this item? Okay, then we'll come back to the board, and then I think we'll discuss.
I'm also fine with 5 though, that, because this is a big change, so I'm okay to ease into this change.
The discussion, and I believe Randy was one about this discussion of, was that as it was worded before,
It was unlimited.
it was
Instead of
easy
It was
for Dave
unlimited.
to see that
Yes.
said that he wanted like all examples of all evidence.
It was definitely worded
This,
that
this
way.
was basically
Yes.
discovery at this point.
Right, yes.
You know, and it was like, here's, and it was, and frankly, it was just too much,
What if we changed it to pick up, 'cause that's the other thing I also thought of as I read it, I was like, what if this implies you have to pick 3, like, what if you don't want it to, pick up to 5, I think would be another option, so then if you wanna pick 1, or if a different superintendent wants to do 2, like, you don't have to find 3 things. That would also be about.
have an example of a superintendent that's overachiever.
Right,
So you have to limit him, so.
right, exactly, yeah, but I mean, we made them, also, if you're, like you said, I see these people all the time, we've discussed this already, I don't need to add any links, that's also fine too, I wouldn't wanna have to force anybody, but if you feel like it's important for you to express or whomever, to express their, yeah, I think up to 5 is better way to say that person, but.
I like the number 3.
Or 3, up to whatever number.
I
If
think
I'm
my
confused.
feeling is, and I kind of agree with Rainey on this, is if you said you could provide the 3, and then if there's an area in an evaluation that the board says, we need to see more, what, I think then you could say, you could expand and say, can you provide us a few more examples of achieving this? But I think personally, if I see 5 links, I'm gonna be like, I might click on 3 links,
Right.
you know, and so I think, and then just setting it, like, again, clarity, let's just give them a number, that it's 3 is the limit.
Yep.
And if we need more,
We get examples all the time.
Right, that's what I'm getting at, yeah. I
You
agree.
know, so
Mm-hmm.
truly, all year you're showing us examples of how you're doing each of these things.
and I do think you can always ask for more. I mean, I think it's something that you can always dig into. Yeah, and you can say, I need more information on this, but I think, again, in this idea of clarity, maybe we just say, provide maximum 3 examples and, those links, but also I do think if it's one certain area, providing, 3 really good examples, I think should be plenty to support your statement, but that's just, so I kind of like 3.
Yep.
I was like, well, can add to 9. So that's a lucky number. So I don't know, I just think that three is.
So do we need to make a motion to change the instructions to say,
Yes, that is the motion
back.
right now is
to
changing this line.
So you could amend it saying pick three up to three areas to expand with
Well,
an
I'd say
example.
examples of evidence
Okay,
as opposed to areas to expand.
would someone like to word that amendment?
I
do you wanna
could,
try?
with Coach.
Yeah, I mean, it's fairly simple. It would say pick, I guess we're saying up to three. Pick up to three example or provide up to three examples. Of evidence
Supporting.
to support,
Of supporting evidence.
supporting evidence, yeah, supporting.
Good job.
So provide up to three examples of evidence to support.
Supporting.
Supporting evidence, there you go.
Evidence.
There you go.
And then
That's the statement, pick up to three. Examples. of
limit narrative
support.
to 300 words maximum.
So then would we pass that first?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Would you like to make that motion?
I just did.
I'll second that.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, you got that.
Motion.
Yes,
Lucy
I
got
got
it,
it.
so-
Lucy, yeah. Do you wanna read it back? Lucy, are you comfortable?
I got it. Provide
Okay.
up to 3 examples of supporting evidence. Period. And then the rest stays the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Right.
limit narrative
To 300
Two
words.
up to 3.
up to, it just needs one
300
more,
words.
yeah, it's just missing a word, yeah, up to
Okay.
300
Yeah.
words.
So that is,
Hold on, I wanna be very clear.
Yeah.
Are you saying that it should say limit narrative up to 300 words, because that makes no sense? So either limit narrative to 300 words.
Right, to
or
300
provide
words.
up to 300.
Yeah. Limit narrative to 300 words. Yeah.
Okay.
okay.
We hope it's less work for sure.
Yeah, so that motion was made by Shannon and seconded by Katie. Yes. For the amendment.
For the amendment.
Okay.
Change the language.
Yeah. So now I will have a motion
And then the
Well, we-
amendment should
we can vote
include
on
that
it.
that is everywhere, so.
Throughout.
Yeah,
throughout the
three
document.
seconds.
and so then we make a motion with.
We have to
with the
vote on
amended
the
document.
amendment first.
Okay, so now I need another.
So we need.
Well, we haven't
We gotta
voted on
vote
the
on this,
amendment.
Oh, we have to vote on the amendment, correct, okay, thank you.
Right.
Okay, all those in favor? There we go, okay, so now we need a motion on the amended document.
I move we approve the new superintendent evaluation with the new amendment.
Seconded.
Alright, moved by Quincy, seconded by Jerry, all in favor. Okay.
And we hope it's less work, so.
Thank you.
Okay. And we're, new things. So we're moving on to, is it Stu Kent Inc.
Kent, yes.
Stu Kent Inc. Data privacy agreement.
It bothered me as well, so I looked up how the company got that name. And it's a play on two of the founders. One was nicknamed Stu, the other one was named Kent. And they were making student software, so they thought it'd be fun to make Stu Kent the name of the company. So
I thought it was spelled incorrectly in our meeting, so.
You did, yeah.
This is wrong.
So yes, the data privacy agreement with Stu Kent is for personal finance simulation software. The program's been used at the high school for years by Mr. Roach. But it's integrated some new, it's integrated with Google in a different way than it has in the past. And so now there's some more data that's going to be shared with the company. And so we just wanted to make sure we had a data privacy agreement in place to, monitor and take care of any data issues that we have with them. So that's what it is. If you have any questions, let me know.
Are there any questions?
So we're the party that first part.
Yes.
Is there any public comment on this item? Right, back to the board for a motion.
I move we accept the data privacy agreement with Stu Kent.
Second.
Okay, moved by Jerry and seconded by Rainey, all in favor.
Thank you
Well,
very much.
Thank you. All right, and is personnel recommendations for hire with miscellaneous.
Thank you. So in front of you, you have recommendations for hire. The attachment includes recommendations as well as the substitute list as well. So you included in the recommendations for hire are the wellness liaison I spoke to earlier. WMS custodian, and your WMS yearbook advisor as well. So in concert with my discussions with my new colleague, our resources director, I'm recommending approval.
Are there any clarifying questions?
It's not exactly clarifying. Oh, yeah, it is clarifying. I think it would be helpful to know what FTEs are in the future. Does anybody else think that would be helpful, or is it just my years of knowing what FTEs were?
Well, thank you for bringing that up. That's something we, we plan, I think, in trustee announcements.
Trustee, yeah,
Yeah,
we're
it's
talking- oh,
about
okay,
different
I thought I
components.
heard that. Oh, you're right, for discussion.
I did just have, I had one question though, I was just curious, because we were just talking about the wellness liaison, is that a 1 year position, or is that as we approve it?
Yes, it's a stipend.
So each year this, they have to
Well,
apply,
They can continue on a
If you do.
renewal basis.
okay,
Right.
got it,
If you get them, if you continue to get a stipend for it.
or does that person have to reapply every year?
They don't have to reapply it,
Okay.
so they could be recommended for renewal.
Gotcha.
In the renewal process.
And the term of the MOU is automatically extended for up to some number of years. I know this is that. I'm just, if you have the coordinator and you have the MOU, are they kind of hand in hand?
Logan, but we do it every year.
They, they're separate.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we would have a wellness liaison if we didn't have.
oh, okay.
Any other clarifying questions? Are there any public comments on the agenda item? Back to the board for further discussion or motion.
I move we approve.
Second.
Okay, moved by Katie, seconded by Rainey, all in favor? Okay, and then I've been asked, can we take a 5-minute bathroom break?
It's a long one.
Reset.
Back. Yeah, we are back. Okay.
And we're back.
We're back. So, we are moving on to reports. So trustee announcements. So I think the first thing we'll start with is there's a new face here this evening. Which you'll hear a lot of evenings. So Sarah's here and sorry. But I'm gonna hand introduction over to Dave and give her an introduction tonight.
Yeah, we're really excited to have Sarah Grimm, our new human resources director, join us this evening. She comes to us with extensive experience. Director positions herself in different areas, but also has a lot of experience in human resources as well. We're excited about what she can bring to our staff district. So we're, I've enjoyed working with over the past few weeks and just happy to have you. Well,
That's all.
Thank you. Our meetings do not normally go this long.
No, no. Okay, so moving out. Okay. Moving on, we had discussed when we do our recommendation for hires, additional information being provided. And I think the question is a little bit about what exactly are we looking for, or an idea going forward, what we would like to see as additional information on those hires. So I didn't know if anyone had complete biography.
I personally am not a fan of, and I think it's actually dangerous for us to see some of the information listed here. I think it's, frankly, I think it's more in the weeds. I think that is for the committee that deals with this. And when they bring a recommendation to us, we should have assumed that they have vetted all this information, and frankly, I don't want. That's what's happening.
I agree. I think that the way, now that we've revamped how it's presented.
Yeah.
And it's understandable how many people applied, who was there at the interview, but those are my questions as far as processes, so that's sort of what we're supposed to approve. The rest of it should be done before they even got to the interview process, honestly, in my mind. And then if I have questions like I did on this one, I just ask, like, case by case basis. So I feel very comfortable with, from my perspective, how it's currently presented. I like the revamp we've done it. that satisfies
We
what I,
don't want that additional information.
I'm fine with how it is right now, yeah.
Same, personally.
I'm not opposed to any recommendation. FTE.
I just want the position is more clarifying the
That's
position,
more- yeah,
not
that-
clarifying the
that-
person.
The
or the
FTE
job.
applies to the position.
Yeah.
But it can apply to the person because, for example, we could have two of something.
Right.
One working half FTE and one.
Right.
Like a shared position? Yeah. Yeah, I just think it would be clarifying.
And that applies to our duty. The FTE applies to our duty, but we should know.
Right.
What is this person costing? Roughly.
Budget.
And I think, having talked to Deborah, that, for like a lot of the degree, you know, a lot of that stuff, she said is not a big deal to know if you wanted to know it. He made it seem like that's pretty generic information, and so, but I really think it's up to, you know, I'm open to whatever, but if we want that, I think we have to make that change, specifically ask what we want.
And the only way that kind of information can be relevant is, you know, and I think that data is available for, as a, say, faculty, you know, how, what's the average years of experience for teachers here? How many you have advanced, you know, the master's degree? Cause that has a budgetary impact too, and hopefully we're not hiring people because they have a master's degree. You know, like because of the cost, when maybe that person would be really valuable. Addition to the group, it doesn't guarantee that. But, and does any, it seems like I've seen data on the average amount of teaching experience people have here or those kinds of things.
No, go for it.
I was just on, I think we certainly can bring reports to the board about those kind of things, right? Years of experience in our district. How many years we allow in, do recommend somebody. So those kind of things we talk about for sure. We could also talk about more about our process, hiring process and what it looks like, clear about that. It's special.
Which we recently done, you know, we recently done with, you know, telling us how many people were on the committee to hire them.
Yeah.
I think that's.
Yeah.
Stuff about number of years tends to come out in IBD, right?
Mhm.
Because Lucy has to explain our budget, how it works, and Lucy will be the first person to tell you, we don't hire based on who's cheapest.
No, we do.
We really don't, that's not our practice at all. We hire based on, who's the most qualified candidate. And so I do think that information is available. You know, the average number of experiences, the average years and all that kind of stuff, if people are wondering, like. You
It
can
is
add that in your
available.
fingertips to do the IDD stuff, so.
The consensus, not to change anything.
Yeah.
But I'm.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we add FTE so we know that our psychologist is a full-time, she is a full-time.
Yeah, that's.
And that's what I,
Yeah, sure. Okay.
So clarifying the position,
Yeah.
I'll second.
Well, we don't have
Just
to.
for clarity,
Yeah.
just for clarity, yeah, I just wanna make sure clarity. Just that, yeah, we're just trying to kind of gauge the consensus of the group. It's not really a motion necessarily,
No,
so.
it's just gonna be.
A straw poll.
So
Yeah. Okay.
FTE. Sounds like something there's some interest.
I,
And sure, and I think the only thing that we've had in the past is when we renew all the teachers' contracts, so we see that list.
Hmm.
There's been an ask to say like what building they're in, or.
Or
and,
what
you
their
know,
job is.
Yeah, they're math teacher, high school.
Yeah.
You know, or something, cause I think sometimes you
That's
just look
true.
at that
Yeah.
name and you don't know
Never
what
got
building or.
Yeah.
But that's just kind
That's
of
another.
giving them just a little identity.
Just some context.
Yes.
Yeah,
And also if they're pre-tenure or post, you know, if they've been through it, I think that's interesting. Is that possible? Like they're in their 3-year probationary period or they're, I don't know. I just feel like I see that list and I have zero context, so. whatever.
Yeah, it's very.
All that information is on the seniority list.
It
that
is, that's what I'm,
puts
that's what I'm thinking.
together. That may be a better tool.
Exactly.
Well, and the seniority list would also give you number of years. of
Exactly.
experience, and it would give you
Exactly what I'm.
down to 1
Right.
year.
Yeah,
And it shows the building and it shows their,
Yeah.
what they teach.
right,
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with new hires, it's just
No,
getting
no.
context as to
Right.
that.
But when you're renewing all the
Right.
contracts.
Yeah.
you know.
and the reason for that comes back to that 8 habits of highly effective school boards, which was in the districts that weren't effective, teachers said, oh, the board doesn't even know me, right? And so it just helps us know who the people are, how long they've been here, what they do. It's more like about valuing what relationships.
Okay.
So that renewal list, maybe that's something we'll come back to it another day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted like to clarify that a little
Okay,
bit further.
okay.
Yeah,
Everybody in-
Cause I would say not just senior, but also peers within the district, like you said, I think that's it's something to celebrate lots of times, helping
Yeah.
teachers, we have to work for and so on, but.
You should get context.
So maybe that could be a
Another
conversation,
topic later.
in a work session.
Yeah.
What that looks like.
That list is overwhelming.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So FTEs only,
The
otherwise we're
FTE
keeping
right
it,
now.
I think it's the
Yeah.
same.
I think
Sounds
that's
good.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't think they have any other. Does anyone else have any?
I just have one, because I promised. If I had anything else, I would say it, I'll be 30 seconds. For all of you who don't know. Effective October 1st, Montana changed the law about booster seats, basically in car seats. So the laws have changed, and I don't know if Moldau people probably know this, but middle school should know it, and anyone who brings their grandkids around or their other kids around, but in Montana, it was very advocated for. By Logan Children's, a couple of the surgeons, Whitney just got it at the legislature session, so in all those laws, the biggest thing is that there's a lot of changes that you have to be in a true car seat until they're 4. An actual car seat with a 5-point harness system until they're 4, and from 4 to 8, it needs to be still a car seat or a booster seat until they're 9, 8 through 9.
Good.
And now it's enforceable by, yes. So until the age of 9, and it's enforceable with a $100 fine, or you can have the fine waived if you show up with a car seat and you can prove you have the device. But just so you know, for anyone who takes people around, and it's good to just let the word out.
No, it's not based on weight at all.
The seat in which you choose to use needs to match the weight of the child, but they need to be in the appropriate device.
Well, and they expire like every 6 months. You can go through a lot.
They don't expire that fast, but yes.
It's silly that they expire,
Yes.
sorry.
But just have that, that's my public service announcement for people who take care of kids.
Okay.
Katie's got one.
Okay. Chris Latray, I think he came to the high school to speak. He's the author of the Montana One Read book. It's called Becoming Little Child. Anyways, FBCC is having a free community lecture with him on November 4th. That everybody's invited to, and they're offering PIR.
I
It's a
sent it
2-hour
out.
thing. So if teachers wanna go, they can earn community credit, and supposedly he's a fantastic speaker, and it's right up Indiana for all. So, yeah, November 4th, 6 o'clock, AT building,
Downstairs.
for writers. And interested citizens, and then for all you love that stuff.
But I'm going to Greece.
Oh, okay, well, sorry, do what you have to do. Yeah.
Don't think I'm gonna get. Can't use that.
Anything else? Okay. We will move on to the superintendent announcements.
Looking for brevity here. So I've touched on a few things, we've covered quite a bit here tonight, so I wanna cover. Yeah, the calendar, I think we've covered. Enrollment, you would see, attachment there, you had an opportunity to look at that, you can see that we are at 1960, up over last year, this time we were at 1945 last year, so our total enrollment is increasing. So this year it's increased. We also just to give you an idea of how this works, we had an enrollment of a total of 20 enrolled in just October. So or in this most recent month, I guess, coming into it, so, and 6 withdrawn, so give you an idea, it's just
180.
yeah, and it's a very large increase in the high school there. And that looks like that will continue for a while, and we're continuing to see that trend that we've discussed before. And that is that we're seeing increases as in the middle school in high school. People moving in. Students. Okay, so additional, I had some district updates here in terms of the Milligan student data was brought up as something I should look into, and so I did research that a little bit. That is a site or organization that provides information, includes surveys and data analysis and look at information for districts. I did have a conversation with them. The one thing that it does not do is allow us to do our own surveys or change the surveys. So they provide their own surveys and we purchase them and then use them. So I think at this point, I would suggest maybe we look at a different direction. It may not be what we need. So we do have some options I'll get into here in just a minute with, well, that's the next topic, the survey update. That's what I wanted to touch on. I did talk to Deborah Phil, and she is eager to offer their services as MTSBA to provide an option to look at our surveys, incorporate them into possibly 2 different surveys. So you would think about a school climate survey, our CNA, and the communication survey. Kind of putting those together, probably the school climate and communications together, CNA separate, and looking at possibly January and March, just because of putting some distance between when they were done. And maybe progressing them up into November, December in the future, things like that. But this year, maybe January, March. Setting it up for having the CNA last, which would provide an opportunity for us to look at data, end of the year data, academic data, CNA data that helps you derive your action plan updates. So those are just some initial insights, but they offer that service and they would be able to provide those and do those through MTSBA services. I'll provide more information on that in some of our work sessions coming up. Just want to give you a little update there. Commemorative holidays are being recognized throughout our district too. We're following that policy that we approved. Trustees approved in a recent meeting this summer based on the new law, and those are being addressed through communications from Lisa out to the buildings and out to all the staff related to some different activities that could be followed and different resources for them to consider. Let's see. And then the resignations you see there for assistant tennis coach, secretary.
Can I ask a question just back to the calendar? It's just, and it came up earlier too, that parent teacher conferences are coming up. I was just curious, this has come up every year about when and how we communicate with families about parent teacher conferences. Because it's about 2.5 weeks away, and if you're a working parent, you have to ask for it's Friday as off, but it would work. If you want to go to your teacher, like you need to have the day off.
Good.
There's limited opportunities, which is great on Thursday evening for sure. But giving people some heads up, like you have that one time that Thursday evening, or you need, if you want to participate anyway. So just curious what the plan was going to be, if there was a district-wide plan, or if it's based on building, like how that information gets disseminated in a timely manner.
The communications would go out from the building typically,
Okay.
but we did talk about it today in our at the
Great.
meeting, actually.
Great.
So we were looking at getting that information out soon. So, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, just as long as I was. It's like
It's
a
on
squeaky
our
wheel
radar.
on it every year, because but it goes to making parents feel welcome and included, and then it's not just an act with that, like we actually want you to participate. And here's our invitation for you to come to the school, and just making it feel really, and do we want kids to come or not come? That's also one of the questions that has come up over the years as well. Is a student supposed to be there or not? Just clarifying that with how
I think it.
I don't have an opinion on it,
I
but
think it
saying,
depends on the type of.
Right.
Of conference you're running. If it's a student-led conference, the kids would be there. Yeah.
Well, thank you for bringing it up. It is definitely on our radar too. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Any other questions?
Well, the one question I have on the survey update, we have often done surveys of graduates of Whitefish High School to get feedback. And I think a survey would possibly be better than what we've done in the past, where we brought students in. But in order for that to be successful, it probably would have to be done fairly soon. I don't think you should wait till the complete end of the school year, because by then they may have forgotten some of the things that they were experiencing in the beginning, but you know, and it could be something that we put together ourselves, but just in terms of when we're talking about clarity and improvement and knowing what areas we might be able to improve. I think it could be helpful.
We can explore that as well. We have explored that. I haven't contacted a few companies that do that. We have done some of that work before, like you said, in the past, but it's hard, very difficult to manage. And I think it does need to be something we do with an outside organization. There is a company that I think they're actually W2, where that company comes from. They work to provide that not only for your graduates, but for your postgraduates. So,
Yeah.
It is expensive. So it is something we've looked at. It's been budget wise, it's been a challenge. So I'll be looking into that further though, and see if there's just some opportunity there, and see what the costs might be. It's good.
Well, all right, so we'll move on to Director of Business. Okay, so before we dive into our monthly financial report, I wanna give you an update about health insurance and easy pump. The topic every time. But we would like to update you about the latest developments related to Bridge Health Alliance, which is the new official name for the new state health trust. So less than a week ago, we received information from the new trust regarding premium rates and benefit structures. And I would like to know that we received this information only after numerous, I want to stress numerous requests since summer, since the summer. So we're currently working with our health insurance consultant to weave through the proposal, which includes 15 different plan options to determine which plans would be suitable for our employees and to determine if they provide enough financial incentive to join this new health alliance. This is part of the press, we got it just a few days ago. The members of the Health Insurance Committee have also received all the information. We just forwarded it to them. And we will be meeting with the committee and with the health insurance consultant next Tuesday to dive into the proposal. We will keep you informed of future developments.
Is that standard, 15 options?
It is not standard. We've never seen anything like that.
Right.
I think that what they do, they have 15 plans. Because there's so many school districts and so many lives. Every district has different. Of course, we're not gonna, of course, sign up for all 15 because it would be a payroll nightmare.
Yeah.
But so right now, I cannot tell you which way we gonna go. It's unclear at this point. Are we gonna join as of July 1 or not? I will keep you posted. Great.
When do you have to decide by, Lucy?
Yesterday.
That's what I was worried.
I was hoping you would.
Sorry.
I would not.
Sorry.
So the official date is November 1.
But you got it yesterday.
But we got it a few days ago and we made it clear to the trust people that our answer, since we waited so long for a proposal, will not be delivered by the. Yeah, nobody can.
I thought they modified that.
It was originally November 1 as well.
Yeah, okay. We'll have to-
Maybe they modified it after we tossed it.
Yeah, maybe.
The first. Yeah. It's a big decision, as you know, the commitment is a 5-year commitment and we will not leave any stone unturned. Regardless of how much time.
Clear my name is committee.
Harry Brown, Wanda Garcia, Kelly Hathaway, Keith Meehan, Ed Melinda Goldhirsch.
And who's our healthcare consultant?
Our health consultant is Mike Burns.
Okay.
With he's been, yes, Mike Burns with IMA Corporation, and I think we've been working with them for 3 years or ever since Mike retired.
Okay.
We went from and Mike. Yeah, perfect.
The insurance committee representatives are appointed essentially through the CBO.
Oh.
Is that-
Dave and I participate.
Yep.
During those meetings, but we are not committee members. So. Stay tuned. Financial report, not sure why page 1 is so much bigger than all the other pages. I couldn't figure it out. But I figured it's all online, so you can zoom in and out as you need. But per request, expressed last month, I've added, 2 new pie charts.
Yeah, I like that.
For the high school bond. And you can see that I specifically stated WHS bonds 125 series. Just to make sure that's the one we're talking about, because we still have the 2012 series outstanding, okay? With about 7 more years to go and $5.6 million to pay off. But I know the interest and focus now is on the construction. So there it is, right after those state grants.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I enjoyed doing.
I hope it wasn't a lot of it.
No. It was too easy. I wish I could have spent more time.
Like spike
Too easy, way too easy.
The federal
But-
grant pie charts
Yeah,
too,
it's really
because we've
helpful.
been talking about
Yeah, you
changes
can
in
see
funding, it's
that
very helpful. Thank you.
the school year is ongoing, so we are starting to eat away at the pies there a little bit. So expenditures as a whole are usually, and as always, as they should be for this time of the year. But you know, every year, every year, I get a curveball from it. When it works like a clock. And that's why I always say a budget is a point in time. It works in the total dollar amount, but within those areas, forget it. I have to say that every time the curriculum department is successful, not just in their AP curriculum, and their numbers are up, and there's more students enrolled, it costs money. And my numbers in the curriculum section of the budget.
Oh, just go crazy. They make it the state, right? And then the athletics go really well.
Yes.
So now I forget.
Things are going well as it goes up.
Exactly, so,
Go
We
for
have
another
this
18.
discussion.
yes.
A love-hate relationship.
It's a lovely relationship between these two departments, yes. So the AP, and then we had that everyday math pilot run.
Yes.
That also put us over. But all we do we're just big categories, but it's like everything. Oh, we didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
That's right. Other than that, everything is going well. For this part. Do you have any specific questions about the reports?
Thank you about perfection. Yes, your pie charts are beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Green and gold.
Green and gold, I would not,
Nothing.
thank you, Lucy.
Thanks.
I wouldn't dare to offer a different color.
It's a happiness color.
Okay, we'll move to D, which is administrator announcement, and we have Jacob Phillips tonight to give us
Step around.
What?
Step around.
Yes. Hello. Yeah. Well, I love to talk about technology. I'm not sure if everyone else is really excited about it at 9 o'clock. But just have a few things I'll touch on. Big thing with our department is we try and be as proactive as we can because it's a whole lot easier a lot of times to prevent things from happening than to have to remedy it, after the fact. So one thing that's really important is we are in year 2 of our 3-year infrastructure kind of revamp. So last year, won't go into a lot of details, but we replaced our core switches. They're the main network switches at each of the buildings, and so we got that in place. Originally, it was planned to also replace our phone system last year, but that got postponed till this year, so that kind of moved into year 2. So what?
Money
Yeah. But this is the second year, and so we replaced all of our edge switches, the network switches, district wide. We've upped our bandwidth. We've doubled our bandwidth. We have network and internet bandwidth. We've replaced our firewall. We've replaced our wireless controller. So we're getting a lot of that just infrastructure in place for dealing with the just the increase in network and computer usage that we have. So we're trying to stay ahead of the curve as much as possible. So that's what we're kind of working on this year. And then next year, we're going to finish out this 3-year plan with replacing all of our wireless access points, which is kind of the final bottleneck that we're starting to see be issues sometimes when we're trying to test all at once, or if people are using some really intense programs. So we're going to be doing that, and then also looking to try and replace a lot of the wiring in this building because we're running into issues. We don't have enough drops in a lot of the rooms and that sort of thing. So, and that's mostly here, that's the biggest issue, but we're going to try and address a few other trouble spots around the district as well. So, but all that is reliant on the E-rate grant program. So, that's what it funds 60% of any project we do like this. So without that, we couldn't do it. So, we have a good track record. We've never been denied. And that's nothing real special. Most schools don't get denied funding for it, but still, that's kind of where we're at with the infrastructure side of things. So, just working to stay ahead of the curve, especially with all the AI stuff that's coming down the pipe. So, so there's that. The second thing is just to touch on AI just a tiny bit. That's again, we're trying to stay ahead of the curve with that. We provided some training beginning the school year, a little bit more in depth than what we did last year. We're still using Magic School. We're also now starting to use Google Gemini, which is kind of like ChatGPT, but Google's version. But it is a core service in our Google domain, which means it's protected by the same data privacy agreements that we have with all of our other Google projects or products. So we can use it just like we do ChatGPT, but we don't have to be as careful about what we put into it. Nothing ever leaves our domain. Nobody at Google can ever see it or use it to train their models or anything like that. Magic School was pretty cool this year. We're looking at helping to use it to help teachers create rubrics or to use their own rubrics to provide feedback to students on assignments, or to help them create kind of just a first glance what a grade that it might have for a writing project, or a math project or something like that. So starting to get some kind of cool use out of that, saving teachers quite a bit of time with some of those things. So we're real excited about AI. There's a couple other tools with Google Gemini that we're using to help create lesson plans or student like storybooks. It's fun for the younger kids. And then at the older ages, we're starting to use Notebook LM, it's called, with Google, which you can create pretty much AI generated podcasts, and they kind of talk back over subjects. You feed it in websites that you want for resources, and they use those resources to have a conversation. And you can interrupt anytime, say, hey, I've got a question about this, and then they'll be like, hey, we got a caller or whatever, and they've got a question about this, and so let's jump into that. And so then they'll start talking about, that specific thing that you have a question about. So we have a couple teachers who are starting to use that on some subjects. So they're creating kind of this podcast with these AI speakers going back and forth, and the students can ask it questions about the subject, and it kind of responds to them with that. So yes.
The accuracy of the information generated by that AI sites school uses.
Well, I mean, AI still, they call it hallucinates. So it definitely can still give you inaccurate information. So that's where, common sense and critical thinking are, an extremely important thing to be teaching at this point, with all that data that's fed into it. With some of those, you're giving it specific websites to pull the data from. So instead of it just going out there and getting some random Reddit post and it's decided it's going to use that for its information, it's sticking to the ones that you're providing it. So that helps a lot, but you still have to think through, does this make sense or not? And then with those podcasts, it lists in all their different resources, so you can go definitely into it and check after the fact if that something doesn't sound quite right, or if you're surprised by it, you can go and look for yourself and see. So definitely it's not the end all of everything, but it's a great place to start with a lot of things, and create some interesting conversations. So. Yeah. So. And then the only third thing is, as proactive as we can be, there's always tickets that we have to deal with, so far this school year, we're up to 650 tickets that we've addressed. And that's only through our ticketing system. We probably have at least that many that have been phone calls or, stops in the hallway that we've had to work through. So our teams, we're trying to be as efficient as we can, but we've got a lot of different things out there that we work on. So and we have so far this year provided over 30 hours of training, either one-on-one, small group, or some larger group trainings like in the PR days and that kind of stuff. So that's just a real little snippet of some of the stuff we're doing this year. But
Lucy, I saw an email referencing a checklist, a list of checks.
Thank you for bringing that up. That's actually something that I was gonna mention, but I forgot, so thank you. Those of you who have been on the board longer than Rainy, you may remember that in the past, we did send these emails out to you every time we cut checks or when we ran check runs for transparency. Okay. And then for some reason we stopped doing it, and I don't remember why. Okay. And I decided to resume that practice in light of the fraud happening at Hot Springs School District. I don't know if you read it either. It was in Daily Play, I believe, or if any of you are receiving the MTSBA daily updates, it was included there as well. The Hot Springs school clerk, because of the small size of the district and lack of segregation of duties, long story short, there was a fraud that the auditors revealed. So I just thought that, okay, in light of that, let's go back to sharing as much as possible with you. So you can ask questions and not see the list of payments only when you have the board meeting or getting ready for the board meeting. So that's why I did that. So she's cool. Yes.
Yes, great.
So you can say, oh, why is this $100,000 expense here? And I'll say, well, because that's Mrs. Currency.
You need more books.
Just, but that's the reason, why I decided to resume the prep.
Yeah. Also, when you have to fill out the paperwork for the auditing, a bunch
You
of
mean
people,
the,
the chair has to fill out paperwork when we get audited.
yes,
Says, what do we do?
questionnaire, yes.
To include that. It's one of the transparency measures, and Dave has to fill it out, like a variety of people have to fill out a survey about what we do to ensure transparency, and that's one of the measures.
Yeah. Yeah. So Thank you for,
I'm gonna move us into the consent agenda.
Okay.
This time.
Great.
Is there, any clarifying questions on it? Any public comments on the consent agenda? Go back to the board for a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved by Jan, seconded by Rainey, all in favor? Okay, 13, one more.
I move we adjourn.
Second. Third.
Moved
fourth.
by Quincy, seconded by Kate. All in favor?
Seconded by everyone.
Yes, okay.
Check all the